When my officer husband Shin Xiaoxing slapped me to the ground for his savior Song Kuo while I was 3 months pregnant after 8 years of blindly worshipping Shin Xiaoxing, I suddenly came to my senses. I calmly went to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy, severing the last thread of connection between Shin Xiaoxing and me. A year later, Shin Xiaoxing finally remembered me, his so-called wife, heavy with child. He showed up at my door with armfuls of gifts, wanting to see me and his child. I laughed. You divorced me and married another woman. Why would I keep your child just to make myself sick? I've been reborn. I was reborn on the day my military husband, Shin Xiaoxing, gave all the money I had saved for having a baby to his savior, Song Kuo, to buy appliances. It wasn't until I saw the big color TV, refrigerator, and washing machine being moved into my neighbor Song Kuo's house that I realized the money I had saved for having a child was gone. It hit me like a thunderbolt. I went to find Shin Xiaoxing to get an explanation, only to see Song Kuo coquettishly leaning into his arms. I trembled with rage watching my husband being so intimate with another woman. I stepped forward and demanded Shin Xiaoxing to tell me where my money had gone. Song Kuo, nestled in Shin Xiaoxing's arms, replied in a sweet, coquettish voice, "Xiaoxing gave all the money to me to buy appliances." Looking at Song Kuo's smug face, I was furious beyond words. How can you be so shameless? You don't earn a penny yourself, yet you're already thinking about spending someone else's money. Song Kuo cried so hard that her face was a mess of tears, while Shin Xiaoxing's eyes burned red with rage as he forced me to apologize. Why would I ever apologize? Ever since Shin Xiaoxing transferred Song Kuo to the military district to be his confidential secretary, everything has changed completely. Shin Xiaoxing frequently went to help Song Kuo, often buying rice and flour for her. Whenever Song Kuo had a headache or a fever, Shin Xiaoxing would come running at her beck and call. Even in the dead of night during a thunderstorm, she would wrap herself in a blanket, knock on his door, and drag him away to keep her company. As for me, his wife of 3 years, Shin Xiaoxing treats me like I'm invisible. Anger and grievance flooded my heart, especially when I saw Song Kuo shamelessly leaning into Shin Xiaoxing's arms right in front of me, his wife, provoking me. It only made me even more furious. You two shameless adulterers, full of filth and depravity, carrying on an illicit affair. I'm going to report you to the military district leaders. The moment I finished speaking, Shin Xiaoxing lunged at me and slapped me hard across the face. I was knocked to the ground by that slap, my head hitting hard against the cabinet in Song Kuo's house. Blood gushed out as I lay on the ground, and a bizarre experience flooded my mind like a tidal wave. It turns out Shin Xiaoxing didn't just give Song Kuo all the money I had saved for having a baby to buy home appliances. He even gave the apartment allocated to me by my workplace to Song Kuo. I cried and threw tantrums, but it was all to no avail. Song Kuo is vicious and despicable, scheming against me at every turn. Shin Xiaoxing blindly trusted Song Kuo. After being set up by her once again, he used the excuse that his parents were old and frail and needed care to send me back to his hometown, thousands of miles away, to look after them. I toiled away in the countryside, bearing children and caring for his parents, longing for the day we'd reunite, like waiting for the stars and moon. Shin Xiaoxing's official position grew higher and higher, yet it never crossed his mind to bring me back. It wasn't until his parents passed away one after another that I went to find Shin Xiaoxing and realized I had long since had no connection with him. We became strangers the moment he sent me back to the countryside. We were already divorced in all but name. He couldn't wait to marry Song Kuo after seeing me off, and he threw a grand wedding for her. He and Song Kuo were deeply in love and inseparable, but she couldn't have children, so the child I gave birth to and raised with great effort became theirs. Seeing how haggard and aged I looked when I came knocking, Shin Xiaoxing refused to see me. Instead, Song Kuo brought my own biological son to meet me, dripping in jewels. Song Kuo tossed a stack of cash at me as if it were trash. Moon Yen, all these years, Xiaoxing has just been using you as a free housekeeper. I am his rightful, legal wife, so go back to wherever you came from and get lost. Even my own flesh and blood son said, Mom, look at yourself now. What have you become? You're no longer worthy of my dad. Take the money and leave. I'll send you money every month for your living expenses. But there's one condition: never show your face in front of our family again. My entire life turned out to be a joke, a stepping stone for others. The man I deeply loved treated me like a free maid, and even my own son despised me. Overwhelmed with rage and grief, I coughed up blood and died on the spot. Scenes from my past life and the present flickered through my mind as I lay on the ground, staring straight at Shin Xiaoxing and Song Kuo. Perhaps the hatred and fury in my eyes burned too fiercely, for Shin Xiaoxing, who had been busy comforting the sobbing Song Kuo, finally spared a moment to glance at me, bleeding on the ground. Seeing me with half my face swollen and blood trickling down my forehead, Shin Xiaoxing froze. He finally remembered that I was a pregnant woman. Shin Xiaoxing let go of the sobbing Song Kuo to help me. Hatred consumed me, and I mustered all my strength to shake off his supporting hand. Get lost. 3. Instead of leaving, Shin Xiaoxing helped me up from the ground and said, "You're bleeding, let me take you to the hospital to get that treated. Didn't you hear me telling you to get lost? If you hadn't been talking nonsense, why would I have hit you? I was just furious, and this is all your fault. Let's go to the hospital first to get the wound treated. We'll talk about the apology later." Ignoring my struggles, he forcefully held me in his arms, ready to take me to the hospital. Just then, Song Kuo suddenly collapsed limply to the ground. Seeing Song Kuo faint, Shin Xiaoxing immediately let go of me and rushed over to her. Kuo, what's wrong? Wake up. Don't you know Kuo has a heart condition and can't be upset? It's all your fault, he shouted at me, losing his composure, then raised his voice to call the guards. Xiaoli, drive to the hospital immediately." Shin Xiaoxing rushed out with Song Kuo in his arms, his face full of anxiety. His guard, Xiaoli, heard the commotion and immediately drove the car over. Shin Xiaoxing carried Song Kuo into the car and immediately ordered the guard to drive, completely forgetting about me, whose forehead was bleeding the whole time. The car roared away. I wiped another trickle of blood from my forehead and stumbled back to the house next door. After bandaging my bleeding forehead in front of the mirror, I quietly began to recall my past life. In my past life, after Shin Xiaoxing hit me, he ignored my bleeding and only cared about Song Kuo, who was pretending to faint. Furious and resentful, I stormed into the hospital and made a scene, which ended up causing Song Kuo to have a heart attack and stay in the hospital for half a month. I, on the other hand, was placed under house arrest by Shin Xiaoxing because I was pregnant. Shin Xiaoxing didn't put me under house arrest, but he did arrange for guards to watch me around the clock. The guard named Li and Song Kuo are from the same hometown, and they're in cahoots with each other. He was two-faced, deceiving both superiors and subordinates, and treated me harshly. He only gave me one meal a day, 2 hard, stale buns and cold water. By the time Song Kuo was discharged from the hospital, I was starving and completely emaciated, nothing but skin and bones. Xiaoli said I was on a hunger strike and refused to eat or drink, and Shin Xiaoxing believed it. He offered me no comfort at all, only scolded me, calling me incorrigible and telling me to go die if I wanted to. He also warned me that a shrewish troublemaker like me didn't deserve to be his wife, and if I kept making a scene, he would divorce me. I was madly in love with Shin Xiaoxing, and the moment I heard he wanted a divorce, I was utterly stunned. To keep Shin Xiaoxing from divorcing me, I dared not make a fuss anymore, but my tolerance changed nothing. Song Kuo kept coming to provoke me every few days, flaunting how much Shin Xiaoxing cared for and liked her. I was so furious at Song Kuo's words that I inevitably ended up arguing with her again. Song Kuo set me up again. She rolled down the stairs herself and falsely accused me of pushing her. Song Kuo is in the hospital again. This time, she claims that after I pushed her down, her uterus was injured and she can no longer have children. For I tried to explain to Shin Xiaoxing that I didn't push Song Kuo, and that she was framing me and putting on a show, but he didn't believe me. He told me that I'd be facing jail time for intentional assault. I was scared to death. Later, Shin Xiaoxing came to me again and said he had pulled some strings to keep me out of prison. Shin Xiaoxing told me to go to the countryside to take care of his parents, saying that after I gave birth and things settled down, he would bring me back. I had no choice but to agree to Shin Xiaoxing's suggestion. On the day I left, Shin Xiaoxing made me sign an apology agreement. I believe Shin Xiaoxing signed the so-called apology agreement and was then sent to the countryside by him. That departure lasted over 30 years. At first, I planned to go back to Shin Xiaoxing as soon as I gave birth, but his mother had a stroke and ended up paralyzed in bed, needing care. I had no choice but to stay in the countryside to fulfill my filial duties on behalf of Shin Xiaoxing. In the past 30 years, Shin Xiaoxing has only returned home a few times to visit his parents. He even took our son to live with him, claiming it was to lighten my load. I didn't learn the truth until the moment of my death. The so-called apology agreement I signed back then was actually a divorce agreement, less than 3 months after Shin Xiaoxing sent me to the countryside. He went and got married to Song Kuo. He also held a grand wedding for Song Kuo, and from then on, they treated me like a free old servant, wasting over 30 years of my life. The mere thought of it makes me grind my teeth in anger. If I had to do it over again, anyone who wants to be that damn maid can have the job. I'm done anyway. I'm going to abort this heartless bastard growing inside me. Shen Xiaoxing wants a divorce, I'll give it to him in this life. I will leave this pair of scumbags and walk my own path. Since I'm leaving, I need to prepare for the worst. I tried to secure some benefits for myself first, but the money I had saved up for having a child had already been given by Shen Xiaoxing to Song Kuer to buy household appliances. We don't have much money left at home, but next month is Shen Xiaoxing's birthday, and I prepared a watch as a gift for him. You can sell the watch for now. Besides, my salary hasn't been paid yet this month, so I won't be handing it over. Also, when Shen Xiaoxing and I got married, I excitedly prepared a pair of gold rings, but he thought they were childish and never wore them. Now it's convenient for me to just take the rings out and sell them, so that means I can get back about $1,000, which is enough to cover an abortion and recovery. The top priority now is the apartment allocated by my work unit. In my previous life, Shen Xiaoxing gave the very same apartment directly to Song Kuer, but in this life, there's no such good fortune to be had. I need to sell the house first to get some cash. 5. I stuffed the watch and gold ring into my pockets and rushed to the office, ignoring the injury on my head and caring nothing about my disheveled appearance. Seeing me show up like this, the leader asked me with surprise. I didn't say much, just told my boss, I'm short on cash right now, so I'm planning to sell the apartment allocated to me. Could you keep an eye out for potential buyers? I'm flexible on the price. I'm a people pleaser at work and get along really well with both my boss and colleagues. The boss agreed to ask around for me, so I took the watch and gold ring to sell again. The watch was brand new and never used. I happened to come across a newlywed couple and sold it to them for $50 less than what I paid. I pawned the ring. It weighed 18 grams in total, and I got less than $1,000 for it. With the money from selling my watch and ring, I went to the hospital and went straight to the OBGYN to explain my purpose. I've been married to Shen Xiaoxing for 5 years, but we haven't been able to conceive a child. Out of worry, I often come to see the doctor. The doctor, who knew me very well, earnestly advised me against having an abortion when he saw I was determined to go through with it. My mind was made up, but in the end, the doctor still refused to perform the surgery on me. She told me to get Shen Xiaoxing's signature for the surgery. After all, Shen Xiaoxing is now the boss. If I rashly terminate the child I had with Shen Xiaoxing without his signature, she would be implicated and disciplined. I didn't go through with the abortion, and I'm feeling really down. On the way back, I was figuring out how to get Shen Xiaoxing to sign. In my past life, Song Kuer falsely accused me of pushing her down, causing her to injure her uterus and become infertile. Because of this, Shen Xiaoxing divorced me and married Song Kuer. In this lifetime, I won't wait for Song Kuer to scheme against me first. I'll take the initiative to make this a reality and force Shen Xiaoxing to divorce me on his own accord. Once the divorce is finalized, that heartless bastard will naturally and rightfully turn into a pool of blood. Shen Xiaoxing didn't come back until 9 in the evening, and I had already eaten my fill, washed up, and gone to bed. Half asleep, I felt something brushing across my face, and an inexplicable disgust and hatred welled up inside me. I raised my hand and slapped it away. A sharp crack rang out, my palm stinging, and I was completely jolted awake. 6. A clear handprint was visible on Shen Xiaoxing's cheek, and it went without saying that I was the one who had slapped him. At this moment, Shen Xiaoxing's face was ashen as he stared at me. Moon Yanyan, have you lost your mind? In the 10 years I've known Shen Xiaoxing, I've always been gentle, considerate, and flattering toward him. One can only imagine how Shen Xiaoxing felt after being suddenly slapped. I rubbed my numb hand and said, I just dozed off and dreamed I was being chased. Couldn't tell if it was a dream or reality, so I just struck out. Shen Xiaoxing naturally wouldn't believe my explanation, and I had no intention of making him believe me either. He fumed, I just wanted to see how badly you were hurt, and you had the nerve to play dumb and hit me. Moon Yanyan, you've really outdone yourself. I looked at the handprint on his face and felt a twinge of regret. I really wasn't playing dumb. If I'd known it was him touching my face, I should have slapped him a few more times just now. Over there, Shen Xiaoxing's face grew even more irritated when he saw I wasn't speaking. You just went to sleep without waiting for me, and you didn't even make dinner. I thought you weren't coming back. As for dinner, didn't you eat with Song Kuer? Don't you two usually have dinner together? A sheepish expression flickered across Shen Xiaoxing's face. I shouldn't have hit you today. I lost my head in the heat of the moment, but honestly, you were way out of line today. You knew I was only helping Song Kuer out of gratitude, and you knew she has a heart condition. How could you say those things to her? He was still trying to put me on trial. I stared coldly at Shin Xiaoxing's handsome face before I came to my senses. Before I knew the atrocious things he would do to me, I could never get enough of his handsome face. Now that I know what's about to happen, I find his face utterly repulsive. No matter how I look at it. Seeing that I remained silent, Shin Xiaoxing softened his tone and said, Kuer has been wronged because of you. Go find her tomorrow, admit your mistake, and apologize. Then we'll let this matter rest. What if I refuse to admit my mistake and apologize? You have to admit when you're wrong. Don't you know that? What did I do wrong? You took the money I saved without asking. Don't I have the right to get it back? Could you just consider this money as a loan from me? Okay, pay back what you owe. Return everything you borrowed from me before as well. 7. After being repeatedly shut down by me, Shin Xiaoxing's expression was extremely awkward. His salary had to go to his parents and Song Kuer, so it was long gone. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had to dip into my money. Shin Xiaoxing took the initiative to grab my hand, trying to soothe me with gentle affection. I shook him off and said, Shin Xiaoxing, let's get this straight. Helping Song Kuer is your own business, and I won't interfere anymore. But you must return every single cent of my money to me, not a penny less. I never said a word when he used my money before, which made Shin Xiaoxing take it for granted. Seeing how serious I was, he touched his nose and said, Nian Nian, we're a married couple, one in body and spirit. There's no such thing as a united couple. From now on, if you want to repay a debt of gratitude, I won't stop you. I can promise I won't go after Song Kuer anymore. And I won't say a word about how you two get along. There's just one thing. Give me back my money. Shin Xiaoxing stared at me intently. What do you mean by that? Exactly what I said. From now on, we live our own lives. If you want to take care of Song Kuer, go ahead, but don't drag me into it. I have no responsibility or obligation to help you look after her. Before, whenever I got angry and made a fuss, as long as Shin Xiaoxing said a few gentle words to soothe me, I would immediately make up with him as if nothing had happened. This sudden change from the past made Shin Xiaoxing's face darken. Mu Nian, do you even know what you're saying? You're a military wife. Helping those in need is your duty. Then why haven't I seen you caring about other people in need? There are plenty of folks around here who are worse off than Song Kuer and need help. Why aren't you helping them? Having been rebuffed like this, Shin Xiaoxing felt utterly humiliated. His face darkened as he let out a cold sneer. What are you being unreasonable about now? I've told you, there's nothing between Song Kuer and me. She saved my life back then, and I'm just repaying her. I've heard it so many times that my ears are numb. I cut him off directly. Enough. I'm not interested in you and Song Kuer, and I won't care anymore. I only have one request. Give me back my money. How do I get back the money I gave away? Don't be unreasonable. Let me tell you, I know what's bugging you. You're just jealous, aren't you? I've explained it so many times. Why won't you listen? Shin Xiaoxing had already grown very impatient, his tone turning much more serious. Mu Nian, you'd better put away those petty thoughts of yours. I'm still going to help Song Kuer. If you don't behave and keep stirring up trouble at home, don't blame me for being ruthless. I'll divorce you. In my past life, Shin Xiaoxing threatened me with divorce, and I was terrified to death, afraid that he would abandon me. Afraid that I would never win his love. Now that I know Shin Xiaoxing's love will never be mine in this lifetime, always belonging to Song Kuer, what's there left to hesitate about? I nodded without a moment's hesitation after he finished speaking. Fine, let's get divorced. 8. My agreement to the divorce left Shin Xiaoxing utterly stunned. He stared at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Mu Nian, are you sure you want to divorce me? I'm sure. I nodded firmly. We'll get divorced tomorrow, but before that, you have to give me back all my money. Money again. Are you obsessed with it? Is money all you care about? Shin Xiaoxing gritted his teeth and asked me. Yeah, money is all I see. Shin Xiaoxing didn't believe I was serious about divorcing him. You're being completely unreasonable. Let me tell you, Mu Nian, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're pregnant. I'm not having my way with everything. The child isn't an obstacle, as long as you sign the papers. I'll go to the hospital tomorrow and get rid of it. Seeing my resolute expression, Shin Xiaoxing stepped back a few paces. Mu Nian, have you lost your mind? How can you even say something like not wanting the child? My firm stance on divorce left Shin Xiaoxing stunned. He slammed the door in anger and left. He never came back after that, and I didn't bother with him. I just lay down and continued resting. The next morning, I was awakened by a knock on the door. Shaoli, Shin Xiaoxing's guard, stood at the door with breakfast, his face sour. The chief told me to bring you breakfast. I didn't give Xiaoli a friendly look either, snapping, "Put it over there." Xiaoli placed the breakfast on the table, his eyes fixed on my face. I glared at him coldly. "What are you looking at? You've delivered the stuff, now get lost." I've always been kind to others and never put on airs, to the point that Xin Xiaoxing's guards have always taken me for a pushover, especially this Xiaoli. He's from the same hometown as Song Kuo, always on her side, and has been secretly targeting me all along. Seeing me suddenly so aggressive, Xiaoli got startled, and then his shock turned into fury and humiliation. "What kind of attitude is that? Last night, out of jealousy, you kicked the chief out to sleep in the office. Today, the chief has already stooped so low, and you still won't let it go. Let me tell you, Mu Nianyan, you'd better tone it down, don't push the chief too far. When that happens, you'll have more than you can handle." "Are you threatening me? Who the hell do you think you are? You're nothing but a dog by Song Kuo's side, and you actually think you're something. I'm warning you to show me some respect. Piss me off, and I'll expose all those shady dealings between you and Song Kuo." As soon as I finished speaking, Xiaoli's face changed dramatically. Without daring to say another word, he hurriedly left. Xiaoli's reaction really surprised me. I only warned him because I remembered how he helped Song Kuo go against me in our past life, but judging by how panicked and terrified Xiaoli looked, could there really be something shady going on between him and Song Kuo? I silently became wary. 9 After breakfast, I went back to the office to see my boss, who told me that a colleague wanted my housing allocation spot, but they don't have much money on hand right now, so they can only give me 4,000 yuan. I know property prices will go up in the future. 4,000 is really too little, but I have no other choice. Under no circumstances will I sell the house cheap to Song Kuo. I agreed to the other party and took 4,000 yuan to give up my housing allocation spot to them. Since I'm divorcing Xin Xiaoxing, there's no way I can keep living here. I'll have to quit my job too. Thinking about the development 30 years from now, I've secretly formed a plan in my mind. I need to get out of here, head south to do business, and be among the first to get rich. I was mentally planning to get home quickly, only to push open the door and find Song Kuo sitting in my living room. Seeing me, Song Kuo let out a sarcastic smile. "Oh, look who finally decided to grace us with their presence. Mr. Busybody, what are you doing here? Just came to check on you. You got beaten black and blue by Xiaoxing, bleeding and all. As your neighbor, I had to come see you, right?" Song Kuo said with a bright smile after circling around me once. Lowering his voice, he snarled viciously, "Why don't you just drop dead? You actually used retreat as a move to bring up divorce. Do you really have the guts to go through with it? If you dare to divorce Xiaoxing, pigs will fly." "Of course I dare to get a divorce, on the condition that you give my money back. Let me tell you, Song Kuo, I have no problem with you and Xin Xiaoxing sneaking around behind my back. Do whatever you like, but you must return my money. And what if I don't pay it back? If you don't give it back, I'll report you and Xin Xiaoxing to the military district for having an affair. Let's see how you two can still show your faces around here." Song Kuo's face darkened. "How dare you? What am I afraid of? Everyone knows about the sneaky affair between you and Xin Xiaoxing over the past 2 years. He pulled strings to transfer you here as his secretary, then funneled our family's money to you. You used my money to buy appliances, clothes, jewelry, and lived the high life, eating and drinking lavishly. The neighbors have all seen it. Once the authorities investigate, the dirty dealings between you and Xin Xiaoxing will be crystal clear. Xiaoxing was helping me. Are you missing arms and legs? Are you a cripple on death's doorstep?" I sneered. "There are plenty of people around who need help more than you do. Why does Xin Xiaoxing only help you and not others? The two of you, alone together, are up to no good. The public has sharp eyes, and everyone sees it clearly." Song Kuo was starting to get scared. "What exactly are you trying to do? Do you realize this will ruin Xiaoxing?" "So what? What's that got to do with me?" I sneered, looking at Song Kuo. "I'm giving you 3 days. Return my money immediately, or you and Xin Xiaoxing will be ruined." Song Kuo left in disgrace, but not before throwing down a harsh threat for me to wait and see. I'm waiting, burning with anticipation. If I didn't provoke her a little, how would she have made a move ahead of time? I'm waiting for Song Kuo's dirty tricks. Let's see who ends up dead faster this time. 10 The next 2 days passed quietly, as Xin Xiaoxing stayed in the military dormitory and never came back. I know he's waiting for me to go apologize and make up. Dream on. I don't have time to bother with him. I've been busy handling matters. Since I'm going to part ways with Xin Xiaoxing for good, I'm certainly not going to let those two bastards, Xin Xiaoxing and Song Kuo, get off easy. I've sold everything I bought. For the house that could fetch any money, I gave away everything that couldn't be sold. I gave the sweater I knitted for Shin Xiaoxing and the new clothes I bought to Coach Zhang's wife, who lives at the East End. She was so grateful that she grabbed me and started chatting. Sister Zhang asked me, "Has your chief Shin not been home these past few days?" I nodded, and Sister Zhang looked at me with sympathy. "Nian Nian, you're a good person. And good people often get taken advantage of. There are some things I'd rather not say, but I just can't stand seeing you treated like this. That Song Kuer, she's bad news. You need to watch your back." "I know, and I don't care anymore. Let them do whatever they want. It has nothing to do with me. But you're pregnant, even if it's just for the sake of the child, you need to look out for yourself. Besides, no matter how much you give in and sacrifice to keep the peace, they might not let you off the hook anyway." Sister Zhang's words hit the nail on the head. In my past life, wasn't I exactly the one who kept giving in and sacrificing, only to end up being schemed against by them? I nodded. "Sister Zhang, thank you for the reminder. I'll be careful. Even a rabbit will bite when cornered, let alone a person. If they push me too far, I won't let them off easy." Zhang's wife lowered her voice, seeing that I had taken her words to heart. "You should keep an eye on that Shaoli next to Commander Shen. He and that Song Kuer have an improper relationship." Upon hearing this, I immediately pressed further. "What do you mean by not normal, Sister Zhang? I won't hide it from you. That Shaoli is a real piece of work. He saw I was easygoing and kept siding with Song Kuer to bully me." Sister Zhang's expression turned serious when she heard me say that. She lowered her voice and said, "That Shaoli and Song Kuer are having an affair. I saw it with my own eyes." 11 Mrs. Zhang's words struck me like a bolt from the blue. I immediately recalled the panicked, hunted look on Shaoli's face that day when I threatened to expose his shady dealings with Song Kuer. "So, is it true that Shaoli and Song Kuer are actually having an improper relationship? But doesn't Song Kuer like Shin Xiaoxing? Why did you end up with Shaoli?" I immediately asked Sister Zhang. "How could Song Kuer fall for Li, a mere guard? I thought she was always trying to seduce Shin Xiaoxing." "I wouldn't know about that, but I'm not lying. When Song Kuer first arrived here, I saw with my own eyes Li sneaking out of her house in the dead of night. Not just once, but several times. Back then, I thought they were dating, until I later realized Song Kuer seemed to have her eyes on your Commander Shen." Sister Zhang stopped there, saying no more. I, however, fell into deep thought. In my past life, Li had always been protective of Song Kuer, constantly twisting the truth to help her bully me. A big part of why Shin Xiaoxing doesn't trust me is because Shaoli is stirring the pot behind the scenes. In my past life, I could never figure out why Shaoli would twist the truth like that. I always thought I treated him well. Now, hearing Sister Zhang say this, it all makes sense. So that's the conclusion. Turns out Shaoli is also under Song Kuer's spell, charging into battle for the woman he loves. That explains why Shaoli would side with Song Kuer and go after me like that. Zhang Sa's words put me on high alert, so I started paying closer attention to Shaoli and Song Kuer. And it's a good thing I did. Just as I suspected, Shaoli secretly went to Song Kuer's house at night. I'm not sure if they're having an affair, but a man and a woman alone together in the dead of night can't be up to any good. The memory of my helplessness and misery when they schemed against me in my past life stirred a deep hatred within me. "I'll make that cheating couple pay." I took a basin and a stick from the house. He stood outside Song Kuer's door and started pounding on it violently, shouting as he knocked, "Stop thief! Someone stop the thief!" 12 The racket I made banging on the pot in the dead of night was just too loud, and soon all the neighbors got up and came running to see what was going on. Pointing urgently at Song Kuer's house, I said, "I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's place. It must be a thief. We can't let him get away." No one doubted what I said, especially when Sister Zhang immediately directed Coach Zhang to lead a team to block the back windows. The others followed me to lurk by the front door and join in the jeering. After a bit of a ruckus, the door finally opened. Song Kuer and Shaoli appeared before the crowd. I deliberately raised my voice. "Oh, it's Shaoli. What are you doing at Comrade Song's place in the dead of night?" I need to see Comrade Song about something," Shaoli stammered. "Something? What can't be said during the day, that you have to come at 2 in the morning? Yeah, what's so urgent at this ungodly hour? Don't tell me you too." Sister Zhang raised her voice, and Song Kuer immediately denied it. "There's nothing between us. Shaoli was just worried about my health and came to check on me." "Who do you think you're fooling? No one believes that," someone deliberately said. "Could it be that Comrade Song and Shaoli are dating?" "Dating is normal. No need to sneak around." No, we're not dating. Song Kuer glared at me with venomous eyes, repeatedly denying any other relationship with Xiaoli. Xiaoli also denied it, insisting that he only came to check on the sick Song Kuer out of concern, afraid something might happen to her. In the end, it was Shen Xiaoxing who rushed over and finally dispersed the noisy crowd. The onlookers dispersed after Shen Xiaoxing gave the order, and I lost my interest in watching the spectacle, so I prepared to head back. Seeing her supporter arrive, Song Kuer immediately began to cry. Xiaoxing, little Li and I are completely innocent, he just came to bring me medicine. Because he was worried, I never expected Comrade Mu to slander us like this. Song Kuer's tears made Xiaoli join in with his own grievances. Shen Xiaoxing scowled at me and scolded, all you ever do is stir up trouble, why can't you just do something productive? Do you have any idea that your actions could drive someone to their death? I sneered. I just saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's house in the dead of night, so I called people out of concern. Is that wrong? Besides, with all those guards you have, why is it that no one else sneaks into Comrade Song's house in the dead of night? Only Xiaoli. My words made both Xiaoli and Song Kuer's faces change, while Shen Xiaoxing also showed a suspicious expression. He's no fool, otherwise he wouldn't have risen to such a high position. Seeing Shen Xiaoxing look their way, Song Kuer immediately dropped to the ground and pretended to faint, then was rushed to the hospital. I sneered, turned around, and went back inside. I had seen it clearly just now. Song Kuer's gaze at me was filled with extreme venom. Needless to say, she hated me to the core. After I made such a fuss about her relationship with Li, Song Kuer knew full well that I had found out about their scandal. To avoid her relationship with Xiaoli being exposed, Song Kuer had no choice but to find a way to cover it up, to eliminate me, her biggest threat. I believe Song Kuer will make a move soon, but what I fear most is if she doesn't make a move, making you walk into my trap. That's the fun part. 13 This morning, as I got up and headed to work, everyone I passed on the way was gossiping about Song Kuer and Xiaoli. Opinions vary. I arrived at work in a cheerful mood and felt great all day. Shen Xiaoxing came to my office at noon and started scolding me the moment we met. The situation last night has been clarified. Xiaoli did go check on Kuer because he was worried she might have an episode. There's nothing going on between them, I sneered. Whether they're in a relationship or not has nothing to do with me. You didn't need to go out of your way to tell me this, did you? Of course I didn't come here just to tell you that. Moon Yanyan, have you been completely out of line lately? To target Kuer, you actually tried to slander her and Xiaoli by claiming they have an improper relationship. Have you ever thought about how much damage this does to a woman's reputation? I laughed in anger. When did I ever slander them? I just saw someone sneaking into Song Kuer's house and thought it was a thief. If Xiaoli was really just worried about Kuer and came to check on her, why couldn't he just knock on the door openly? Why did he have to sneak around like a thief himself? True love indeed. Shen Xiaoxing was still defending Song Kuer. Xiaoli didn't want to disturb the neighbors, so he didn't knock. But you, on the other hand, don't sleep late at night and instead keep an eye on Song Kuer. What exactly are you up to? I warn you, I haven't settled the last incident with you yet, don't you dare create new trouble for me. You're hilarious. I already said I shouted because I thought it was a thief. I've explained it clearly enough. Are you not getting it? Or are you just looking for a fight? Shen Xiaoxing slammed the table in anger. What kind of attitude is that? Song Kuer ended up in the hospital because of this mess you caused. Don't you realize your mistake at all? I did nothing wrong. If there's any mistake, it's marrying you in the first place. Don't you want a divorce? Fine, I agree. Let's do it right now. You can go live with whoever you want, but before we divorce, you must pay me back my money. Shen Xiaoxing still thought I was the same old Moon Yanyan who was meek and devoted only to him, so he actually dared to glare and fume at me. I'm not going to indulge him. He wants to make a scene. Let's see who ends up losing face. I raised my voice and started crying at the same time. I've been saving up for years, scrimping and scraping to prepare for having a child, but you gave it all to Song Kuer to buy home appliances, and last time, without even a word, you handed over my salary to her for clothes, and the time before that, you gave my wages to her for cosmetics. My voice was at its loudest, and Shen Xiaoxing, his face ashen, came over to cover my mouth. I bit down hard on his hand. He never expected me to do that, so in pain, he let go and shoved me away. I immediately lay down and started throwing a tantrum. Didn't Shen Xiaoxing call me a shrew who doesn't listen to reason? Today, I'm going to show him what an unreasonable shrew looks like. There I was, lying on the floor making a huge scene, spilling all the dirty deeds Shen Xiaoxing had done. How could Shen Xiaoxing stay there? he still had a reputation to save. He left with a face ashen with rage. The colleagues and managers at work had been eavesdropping on the whole thing, and they felt nothing but deep sympathy for me. Several married women came to comfort me, then beat around the bush trying to pry into the matter between Shin Xiaoxing and Song Kuo. In my past life, I cared too much about saving face. When I was bullied, I'd swallow my pride and keep it to myself, believing that family shame shouldn't be aired in public and not wanting others to look down on me or despise me. I'm not planning to spend my whole life with Shin Xiaoxing anyway, so why should I cover up for him? I spilled everything about Song Kuo and Shin Xiaoxing like pouring beans out of a bamboo tube. I know that soon, news about Song Kuo and Shin Xiaoxing will spread far and wide. With all these rumors flying around, let's see if Song Kuo will make a scene or do something drastic. 14. Coming home from work in the evening, Shin Xiaoxing was unexpectedly at home for a change. He bandaged the hand I had bitten and sat in the living room chair with a sullen expression. I moved past him as if I hadn't seen him at all and went straight to the bedroom. Shin Xiaoxing had never been treated with such cold indifference before. Every time we argued, it never took more than 2 hours for me to swallow my pride and go make peace with him. I always apologize first, whether it's my fault or not. This time, we've been giving each other the cold shoulder for days, and today I bit him again, showing no intention of backing down at all. After sitting outside for a while, Shin Xiaoxing finally couldn't hold it in anymore. He pushed open the bedroom door and asked, "What's for dinner?" "Eat whatever you want, why ask me?" I said coldly. "What kind of attitude is that, Mu Nian? I haven't even settled the score with you for biting me, and you're already giving me attitude. And what about you hurting me?" I retorted. Shin Xiaoxing was choked up. He looked at the wound on my forehead and was silent for a moment. "I didn't mean to. I've already apologized to you," I sneered and turned my head away. He stood at the door for a moment before patiently walking in. "Let me take you out to eat. What do you want? What meal? If you have money, hurry up and pay off your debt. You owe me a lot." I held out my hand, veins bulging on Shin Xiaoxing's forehead. He was about to explode with rage, but for some reason, he suppressed the anger rising in his chest. "Nian, I know you're upset with me for helping Song Kuo. It was my fault for not considering your feelings before, and I promise I won't do it again." I stared at Shin Xiaoxing as if I had discovered a new world. "What do you mean by that? I've made things clear with Song Kuo. From now on, if she needs anything, she can go to the security guards instead of coming to me. She saved me before, and I've helped her find a job and done plenty for her. That's more than enough. I'm done getting involved in her affairs. Let's just focus on our own life together." That sounds somewhat reasonable, but who knows if it's true? I don't believe it anyway. Shin Xiaoxing pulled me up and said, "Let's go out to eat. I know you need money, so from now on, I'll hand over all my salary to you." I have no idea what he's up to. I've never seen Shin Xiaoxing this gentle and considerate, not in this life or the last. Shin Xiaoxing dragged me out for dinner. We ran into Song Kuo on the road. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and when she saw Shin Xiaoxing and me, she walked unsteadily, swaying with every step, looking so pitiful that a gust of wind could knock her over. Shin Xiaoxing, instead of fussing over Song Kuo as he used to, pretended not to see her and left directly with me. I hadn't gone far when I heard Song Kuo calling out from behind me. "It looks like she fell." Listening to Song Kuo's cries of pain, I silently counted numbers in my mind. 3, 2, 1. As I finished counting to 3, Shin Xiaoxing turned his head. He rushed towards Song Kuo without hesitation, just as he had done before. I smiled with relief. A leopard can't change its spots. That saying is absolutely right. 15. I didn't plan to have dinner and went home alone instead. Shin Xiaoxing didn't come back until late at night. He tried to push open the door to our bedroom, but I had locked it from the inside. Shin Xiaoxing couldn't get in, so he went to the guest room. When I got up in the morning, Shin Xiaoxing was already awake. He had bought breakfast and smiled at me as if nothing had happened, saying, "I got your favorite, fried dough sticks and soy milk." I sat down expressionlessly and began eating breakfast. Shin Xiaoxing tried to explain. "Kuo's health is really bad. She has severe anemia." I put down my chopsticks. "Who are you trying to gross out this early in the morning?" Shin Xiaoxing was taken aback by my icy demeanor. He parted his lips as if to speak, and I quickly added, "Don't tell me about irrelevant people or things. I'm not interested. It only ruins my mood." Shin Xiaoxing wanted to lose his temper but held it back, even trying to explain himself to me. "Nian, I can't just ignore her. She saved my life. If it weren't for her, I'd be dead. I owe her my life." I've heard this kind of empty talk too many times. I put down my chopsticks. "Who you want to help is your business. I don't care. You don't have to keep harping on about owing her your life. If you really can't make up your mind, then marry her. I'm ready to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you anytime." With that, I got up and left. Shen Xiaoxing sat there, watching my back. I had no idea what was going through his mind. What he thinks has nothing to do with me. After all, even before this, in my past life, I was already treated coldly and abandoned by him just like this. After work in the evening, Shen Xiaoxing came to pick me up at the office. He bought groceries and cooked dinner himself, only realizing while cooking that a lot of things were missing. The pots, pans, bowls, and plates I paid for were all gone. Only the ones Shen Xiaoxing bought himself remained. He looked like he'd discovered a new world. "Nian Nian, it seems like a lot of things are missing from our home." "Yeah, there were too many things I didn't need, so I gave some away." "I see." He didn't quite believe me. After all, everything I gave him was either brand new or in pretty good condition. How could I possibly have no use for them? We ate in silence, the only sound being the clinking of chopsticks against bowls. I kept my head down the whole time without uttering a single word. Shen Xiaoxing kept staring at me. I could feel his gaze, but I didn't respond. Finally, he couldn't help but speak first. "Nian Nian, why aren't you wearing your wedding ring?" 16. I took my time drinking half a bowl of soup before saying, "I sold the wedding ring." "Why are you selling it?" Shen Xiaoxing asked in surprise. Why doesn't he know?" I gave a wry smile. "Because I'm broke." "Right, I don't have any money on me, and I need cash. No one's kind enough to just hand me money for nothing, so when you're strapped for cash, the only option is to sell the wedding ring." My words left Shen Xiaoxing silent. He knew how much I treasured our wedding rings. After we got married, I always reminded him to wear his. He always refused to wear it, citing inconvenience, leaving me as the only one, laughably, pathetically, wearing the wedding ring I had prepared myself. I pushed aside the bowl and chopsticks, stood up, and was about to head back to my room. After just a few steps, Shen Xiaoxing's voice came from behind. "Once I get my paycheck, I'll buy you a new ring." I let out a scoff without turning around, and he continued, "Song Kuer's body is just too weak, not suited for the military. I've talked it over with her and plan to send her back to work in her hometown, so she'll be closer to her parents and family, making it easier for them to take care of her." Shen Xiaoxing's words made me turn my head. "She agreed." Shen Xiaoxing nodded. "She agreed. Song Kuer is a reasonable person. She also felt she was imposing on us too much and said she'd find a chance to apologize to you and clear things up properly." I let out an ambiguous smile as Shen Xiaoxing continued, "Nian Nian, I truly only feel gratitude towards Song Kuer. There has never been any romantic feelings between us. If my previous help to her made you misunderstand, I'm truly sorry. I apologize. Such things won't happen again." I just kept a faint smile on my lips while looking at Shen Xiaoxing. He started to feel a bit uneasy under my gaze. "Nian Nian, she has already agreed to leave this place. She'll be busy with the handover work these days and said she'll find time to explain things to you. I hope you can have a calm and peaceful conversation with her. Song Kuer actually wants to meet me for a detailed discussion. This is great news. I've been waiting for this day for so long." I curled my lips into a smile and said, "Fine, tell Song Kuer that I'm ready for her anytime, anywhere." 17. Song Kuer came to see me 3 days later. I can't wait to see her. Song Kuer still looked like she could be blown over by a gust of wind, but the moment she closed the door and made sure it was just the two of us in the room, she completely changed. She glared at me viciously. "Mu Nian Nian, you bitch, are you feeling pretty smug now that you've finally managed to kick me out?" "Of course, watching you slink away with your tail between your legs like a stray dog brings me great joy." As soon as I finished speaking, Song Kuer's face turned ashen. "You set me up, playing hard to get by, filing for divorce to force Xiaoxing to send me away. You shameless bitch, I underestimated you." "That's not the only thing you underestimated about me. There's plenty you don't know. Want me to spell it all out for you?" I looked at her with a smile. "I know about you and Shaoli sneaking around behind everyone's backs. I know you've got your eyes on Shen Xiaoxing and want to make a move on him. I know you're plotting against me. You came here today loaded with tricks, didn't you?" You, how did you know?" Song Kuer was startled by my frankness. Her overbearing attitude vanished instantly, and she began to stammer, "How I know is none of your concern. Now, let me guess what you're going to do next. You're planning to fall down and frame me. Shaoli is already waiting outside, ready to burst in the moment you scream and accuse me of hurting you." I walked up to Song Kuer with a smile, her face pale as a ghost. "So go ahead, fall down and scream for help. I'm waiting for Your performance. Song Kuer froze, staring at me in terror. I grabbed her hair and slammed her head into the nearby table. Song Kuer opened her mouth to scream, but a rag was swiftly and ruthlessly shoved into it. I grabbed the brick I had prepared earlier and smashed it into Song Kuer's stomach. Blow after blow. Didn't she falsely accuse me in her past life of pushing her, causing her to lose her uterus and become infertile? In this life, I will let her have her way and fulfill her wishes. I punched Song Kuer's stomach again and again. Each blow fierce and brutal. Her face twisted and discolored, and blood flowed from beneath her. Only when I saw that she had truly fallen into a coma did I let go of Song Kuer. Then he raised his voice and shouted, "Someone come quick, something's happened." 18. Shaoli was the first to burst in, and without even looking, he let out a loud yell. "Assault! How could you hurt Comrade Song like this? You're so vicious." I looked at Shaoli with a smile and said, "Stop dawdling, take her to the hospital now, or she might never wake up. After all, she's hemorrhaging from a miscarriage, and if she loses the baby, she could lose her uterus too." How did you know?" Shaoli was stunned. "Don't worry about how I know, just listen to me and take her to the hospital. If you wait any longer, she'll die. You don't want everyone to find out you're the father of the child she's carrying, do you?" Shaoli, pale and trembling, picked up Song Kuer, who was bleeding profusely, and rushed to the hospital. I followed along. Song Kuer's uterus could not be saved, removed just like in the previous life. Shaoli stayed outside the operating room the entire time, his face ashen. I stood with my arms crossed, watching Shaoli and smiling all the while. After several hours of surgery, Song Kuer was wheeled out of the operating room still unconscious. I asked Shaoli with a smile, "Aren't you going to inform your chief? Given Song Kuer's current situation, your chief must be extremely anxious. How about I keep an eye on Song Kuer for you, and you go personally to notify Shen Xiaoxing?" Shaoli didn't dare to inform Shen Xiaoxing. He dropped to his knees with a thud right in front of me. I looked at Shaoli coldly and said, "Scared now? Where was this fear when you were having fun with Song Kuer, and you thought you could frame me and turn things around? Dream on." Shaoli kept kowtowing until his forehead was bruised and bleeding. I watched coldly as this despicable, shameless creature groveled. Only after watching him bleed and stagger did I slowly call for a halt. "Stop. What do you plan to do about this?" "I'll make sure Kuer leaves here. I promise to extinguish any thoughts she has so she'll never disturb you and the chief again." "Oh, really?" I let out a few laughs. "No, how can you leave? Song Kuer can't go. Please, I beg you." Shaoli was about to kowtow again, but I waved my hand to stop him. "I've got a way to make all your wishes come true." 19. When I got home, Shen Xiaoxing was still cooking in the kitchen. He's been like a different person these past 3 days, cooking dinner every night. Seeing me return, Shen Xiaoxing flashed me a smile and said, "Give me 2 minutes, dinner will be ready soon." I poured myself a glass of water and sipped it slowly, while Shen Xiaoxing busied himself with setting out the dishes. He scooped me a big bowl of rice. "Eat more. Pregnant women have bigger appetites. From now on, you'll need 2 bowls." I took it without a word and started eating with my head down, while Shen Xiaoxing eagerly served me dishes. After eating most of his meal in silence, Shen Xiaoxing finally spoke up, Nian Nian, has Song Kuer come to see you?" "I've already looked." I nodded. "What did you talk about?" "Nothing much." I continued eating. Shen Xiaoxing didn't get the answer he wanted, so he probed me indirectly. "Did she say when she's leaving?" "You'll have to ask her that." "I don't know." After I finished speaking, Shen Xiaoxing's expression froze slightly. I kept my head down and continued eating. I knew Shen Xiaoxing must have looked for Song Kuer, but he just couldn't find her. Since he couldn't find anyone, he naturally had no idea what Song Kuer said to me. Worried, he came to pump me for information. To be honest, he was genuinely worried about Song Kuer. What a pity, I sighed inwardly. The sound of a car came from outside, and soon Shaoli rushed in. "Commander, something's wrong, comrade. Song is in trouble." Shen Xiaoxing shot to his feet, and I followed suit, putting down my chopsticks to look at him. Shen Xiaoxing didn't look at me. His gaze fell on Shaoli, fixed on the injured forehead. His expression was grim to the extreme. "What happened?" Shaoli didn't dare to look at me, lowering his head and pretending to wipe tears. "It's something very serious. She had her uterus removed, and now she's in the hospital. Unconscious, Chief, Comrade Song, she's just too pitiful." Shen Xiaoxing listened to Shaoli, his face full of disbelief. "How is that possible? How could something like this happen when she was perfectly fine? Chief, you need to go to the hospital right away." As Shaoli's words fell, Shen Xiaoxing immediately strode forward. When he reached the doorway, I coughed, and he stopped at the sound of my voice. Nian Nian, I'm going to the hospital to see Song Kuer, I'll be back soon. I looked at Shen Xiaoxing, enunciating each word, Shen Xiaoxing. Have you thought this through, Nian Nian? This is not the time to act on impulse. Kuer has fallen unconscious, and I have to go see her to figure out what happened. Since Shen Xiaoxing had made his own decision, it was no longer within my control. I nodded and stopped trying to stop him. 20 Shen Xiaoxing left and never came back. I calmly washed up and went to rest. Before going to sleep, I counted my money. I only had 5,000. This amount of money is far from enough to start a business. Down south, I was jolted awake from my dream the next morning. When I opened my eyes, Shen Xiaoxing had already rushed to the bedside. He grabbed me by the collar and yanked me out of bed. You have such a venomous heart, Mu Nian Nian. How can you be so vicious and shameless? Why did you do this to Song Kuer? She was already ready to leave. Why couldn't you just let her go? Shen Xiaoxing's grip on my hand was so tight that I could barely breathe. I clawed at his hand a few times, and only when it hurt did he let go. Mu Nian Nian, you've disappointed me so much. You've done something so heinous. Just wait to rot in jail. I didn't say a word, just stared coldly at Shen Xiaoxing, waiting until his rant came to an end before I spoke to him. You don't want to hear my explanation. What are you trying to explain? You did something so terrible to her, caused her such harm. As a woman, don't you understand the pain of being unable to bear children? You make it impossible for me to forgive you. Fine, then don't forgive me, Shen Xiaoxing. If I've done something wrong, just have me thrown in jail. You're incorrigible, absolutely incorrigible. Do you not feel even a shred of guilt or remorse right now? Song Kuer is completely innocent. He kept yelling at me for a good while until he was completely exhausted and finally stopped. Mu Nian Nian, what are you going to do now? What's your plan? Leave everything to the police. If you hand this over to the police, you're done for. Mu Nian Nian, this is a crime. You'll end up in prison. Fine, go ahead and sentence me. I'm not afraid anyway. You're being utterly incorrigible. Shen Xiaoxing kicked over the chair in fury. I punched the wall a few more times, watching him coldly, waiting for him to speak first. In our past life, he also took the initiative to divorce me, and in this life, it should be the same. Sure enough, after venting his anger for a while, Shen Xiaoxing calmed down and said, Nian Nian, I don't want you to go to jail. Do you understand? I don't want you to go to jail. Yeah, I don't want to go to prison either. I nodded. You were wrong this time, and you need to own up to it. Go apologize to Song Kuer sincerely, and then, just an apology. I pressed, of course not. You hurt Song Kuer, and that's a big deal. You can't just do nothing to make it right. How can I make it up to you? Go hide out in the countryside for a while. I'll calm Song Kuer down, lay low for a bit. And once I've smoothed things over with her, I'll come get you back. Exactly the same words as in my past life. He didn't mention divorce at all, but instead made me sign an apology letter and told me to go back to the countryside to rest during my pregnancy, only returning once everything had settled down. I couldn't help but laugh. Alright, I promise you. 21 Shen Xiaoxing's apology letter was quickly sent over for me to sign. I knew it was a divorce agreement, so I signed my name without even looking at it. Shen Xiaoxing breathed a sigh of relief after seeing me sign. Nian Nian, pack up first, I'll take you out of here. I nodded. I don't have any money. Can you give me my money back? Shen Xiaoxing agreed. I have no idea where he got the money, probably borrowed it anyway. That very night he came back and handed me 2,000 bucks. I tucked the money securely into my pocket, and on the day I left, Xiaoli gave me another 3,000. This was the money Song Kuer had swindled from Shen Xiaoxing that originally belonged to me. Now that it's back in the hands of its rightful owner, I took it without any burden. On the day of my departure, Shen Xiaoxing had planned to see me off personally, but he stood me up at the last minute due to something coming up. That was fine by me. I had no intention of going back to his hometown to be his slave since we were already divorced. Getting an abortion was much easier. I went to the hospital to get rid of the bastard in my belly. Then after a month of recovery, I took 10,000 yuan and headed south by bus. Living alone and striving in a foreign place is both painful and joyful. Living for myself drives me to give it my all. I'm not afraid of hardship or exhaustion. My only goal is to make money. After a year of striving out there, I finally managed to secure my own shop through my own efforts. While purchasing wholesale goods, I ran into someone I had met before, just a brief acquaintance. She was a distant cousin from Shen Xiaoxing's hometown. Shen Xiaoxing's distant cousin was very surprised to see me. Nian Nian, what are you doing here? Do you know that Shen Xiaoxing has been looking for you for a long time? I quietly looked at Shen Xiaoxing's distant cousin, She told me that Shin Xiaoxing's mother had an accident and is now paralyzed, needing someone to take care of her. Then I called Shin Xiaoxing, and only then did he realize that I hadn't gone back to his hometown. Shin Xiaoxing's distant cousin asked me, "Why did you go south to do business?" I smiled faintly and said, "Didn't Shin Xiaoxing tell you about this? You'd better ask him for the details." "What about your child? Shouldn't it have been born by now? I remember you were pregnant back then, and Shin Xiaoxing said you were several months along when you left." "The child is dead, gone." Shin Xiaoxing's cousin's eyes widened in shock, but I was busy attending to the guests and didn't continue chatting with her. I never expected Shin Xiaoxing to find me. One night after I finished work, he suddenly showed up out of nowhere. His hands were full of bags and parcels, and he called out to me with the same warmth as before, "Nian Nian." I looked over indifferently as he forced a smile. "I heard you were here. Nian Nian, why did you come here without a word? You made me search everywhere. What do you want from me? Aren't you married? Shouldn't you be living happily ever after with Song Kuer? Why would you think of coming to me?" Caught red-handed by me, Shin Xiaoxing's face flushed red. He actually felt ashamed too. "Nian Nian, I didn't mean to deceive you. It's just that Song Kuer was in such a terrible state back then, and she insisted it was your doing. I didn't want you to go to jail. For your sake and the baby's, I had no choice but to resort to this, agreeing to divorce you and marry her. I never intended to actually marry her. It was just a temporary measure. I just couldn't bear to see you behind bars or watch you suffer." I couldn't help but laugh. "Shin Xiaoxing, do you really think I'd believe a word you say? Do you still take me for the fool I used to be?" Shin Xiaoxing's expression shifted repeatedly as he humbly apologized for the first time. "Nian Nian, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I was truly wrong." "Alright, if you came here to apologize, I've heard you. Whether I accept it or not is none of your concern. Now leave." Nian Nian, I want to see our child. I bought a gift for the baby." This made me laugh so hard that tears came to my eyes. Shin Xiaoxing looked at me, completely at a loss. I laughed for a long time. I really just found it utterly ridiculous. Finally, I laughed until I was tired. "Shin Xiaoxing, what makes you so sure I'd carry your bastard child?" 22. Shin Xiaoxing's face turned from red to white, which was quite amusing. I kept laughing and said, "You really have some nerve. Divorce me, marry your beloved Song Kuer, and have me kept in the dark. Bear your children, carry on your family line, take care of your parents, and be your lifelong servant. Don't you think you're utterly shameless?" "I am not. That's what you are. Don't deny it. Otherwise, why did you marry Song Kuer? Why were you so eager to send me away? And why did it take you over a year after I left to think about contacting me? If you had even a shred of conscience, you wouldn't have abandoned me while I was pregnant, would you?" Let me guess why you've come to see me. Judging by the way you look, things haven't been going too well for you. After all, Chief Shin never goes anywhere without his guards. So where's your loyal guard, Shaoli?" Shin Xiaoxing was speechless, and I continued to laugh. "You picked up a worn-out shoe that Shaoli had already used and treated it like a treasure. Now you're getting your just desserts, aren't you? Do you know why you've ended up like this? It's because I reported you. Before I left a letter for your competitor. It was you who reported me." "Why? How dare he ask me why?" "Shin Xiaoxing, did you think I left without knowing anything?" "Fooled by your lies. Wrong. I orchestrated all of this. At this point, I have nothing left to hide." I want to see the disgust on Shin Xiaoxing's face when he learns the truth. I knew Shaoli and Song Kuer were out to get me. I knew they were having an affair. I knew Song Kuer's rescue of you was fake. It was a setup between Shaoli and Song Kuer to trick you into giving her a good job. I never expected you'd fall so hard for her act. So they changed their plans on the fly. Shin Xiaoxing's expression began to sour. I knew he was being torn apart inside. "I know you fell for someone else and started liking Song Kuer. How could something as disgusting and filthy as you deserve to hold a high position? So, I decided to give you a big gift. After realizing Song Kuer was deceiving you and knowing your job would be affected, you hurt Song Kuer and Shaoli, leaving them crippled, and now you've even lost your job." I took a breath and looked at Shin Xiaoxing's pale face. "All of this was a gift I designed for you long ago. Do you like my gift?" Shin Xiaoxing's face turned green with anger at my confession, and I continued with a smile, piling it on. "You married some discarded worn-out shoe that no one else wanted and treated her like a treasure. Because of that worn-out shoe, you blew your chance for promotions and wealth, and now you have the nerve to dream of getting back together with me, expecting me to bear your children. What makes you think you deserve that, is it?" Because you've got some nerve, Shen Xiaoxing jumped up furiously, ready to hit me, but I wasn't about to let him get away with it. He's hitting me, harassment. While shouting, she gave him a hard kick right in the groin. Shen Xiaoxing doubled over in pain, and the people nearby gathered around when they heard my cries for help. I accused Shen Xiaoxing of assaulting me, and soon some good Samaritans dragged him to the police station. Once a man of high status, Shen Xiaoxing basked in endless glory, but now, in his fallen state, no one pampers him anymore. He was fined, berated, and detained overnight. Before being released in disgrace, he lost his job, lost everything, and on top of that, something happened to his mother at home. Shen Xiaoxing still wanted me to keep being his fool, thinking I loved him and would fall for his sweet talk, but having lived a second life, why would I ever jump back into the fire pit? Shen Xiaoxing didn't leave, he stayed by my side the whole time, seeing my business doing well. He even schemed to win me back. In the end, heaven couldn't stand it anymore. On a rainy night, a car crushed both his legs. Shen Xiaoxing became a cripple, doomed to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. This is his karma. He went out of his way to get people to bring me to see him. I refused. I've already seen his downfall and I'm more than satisfied. There's no need to put myself through that disgust again. From now on, I'll walk my path of success, while he lives his life of poverty and misery. And that's just perfect. That's all for the first story. Stay tuned, because the next one's even more exciting. After 10 months of pregnancy, I accidentally discovered my husband's playful little whip. I confronted him, but he just said it was a prank, so I secretly smeared ant eggs on it. Oh, then I'll play a prank too. In the middle of the night, the little one in my belly kicked me awake. I'm both tired and thirsty. With this big belly, I can barely even turn over in bed, let alone get up. My husband Lin Shoza, sleeping beside me, was snoring like thunder. Honey, can you get me a glass of water? I nudged him several times, but he wouldn't wake up. Forget it. Despite the heavy rainstorm today, Lin Shoza still braved the rain and made a trip to the hospital's obstetrics and gynecology department to pick up my medication. On the way back, the car nearly got stuck in a puddle of water. I got home a full 4 hours late. He must be exhausted after a long day. I wrapped my arms around my stomach, turned around with difficulty, and slowly shuffled out of bed. Walked slowly toward the water cooler in the living room. Passing by the sofa, I noticed our little cat playing with Lin Shoza's briefcase. The briefcase zipper has been pulled open at one corner. I quickly scooped the cat out and set it aside. I pretended to scold it a couple of times. Lin Shoza's briefcase contains many important items, seemingly involving classified documents, and he never lets me touch it. Once, I accidentally spilled water on it and wiped it with a tissue. When he came out, he happened to see me touching his bag and flew into a rage at me. I felt wronged, but I also understood the importance of his work. After that, I never touched anything of his again. I checked around, and the cat didn't pull anything out of the bag. Just as I was about to zip up my briefcase, my hand touched something strange. It felt strange in the hand. Took it out to take a look. It turned out to be a small whip. It was completely black, with a few tassel-like leather strips hanging down. The handle was wrapped with anti-slip braided patterns, showing visible signs of wear from previous use. At the end, several small silver rings are embedded, producing a crisp sound when swung. There is a small red succubus mark at the bottom of the handle. Extremely gorgeous. It reeks of cheap, tacky erotica. Its purpose was obvious. The sight of that little whip left me frozen, my limbs stiff and unresponsive. At first, I thought I was dreaming. I pinched my thigh hard before I finally snapped back to reality, but I was nearly 10 months pregnant, my belly already swollen high. Since I got pregnant, Lin Shoja and I have been sleeping in separate rooms. This old, well-used little whip is clearly not meant for me, and with whom a terrifying thought crept into my mind. It startled me so much that my whole body trembled. Lin Shoja cheated, too. I felt as if I had fallen into an ice cave. My mind went completely blank, and my hands couldn't stop trembling. Lin Shoja had indeed been acting a bit strange lately. He, who never used to care about skincare, had started using skincare products. Before, he would just quickly wash with soap in the shower, but now, he would lightly spritz perfume on his wrists before going out. Sometimes, you can even catch him grinning goofily at his phone. I am not unaware of these changes, but I never really gave it much thought. Before this, I trusted him enough that it never crossed my mind Lin Shoza would cheat on me. We grew up together as childhood sweethearts, spending every day laughing and playing since kindergarten. We couldn't have known each other better. After graduating from college, we naturally ended up together, got married, and had children. In the beginning, before we got married, I didn't want children. Back then, Lin Shoja said he respected my thoughts and supported me in being myself, He understood that women shouldn't be bound by childbirth, but should live life on their own terms. We've been very careful and have always taken precautions to avoid pregnancy, but then, I ended up having an unexpected pregnancy. When I first found out I was pregnant, I worried it would affect my career. Already fearful of childbirth, I was completely unprepared to become a mother and even considered having an abortion. Lin Shoza stopped me. He knelt down and begged me, tears streaming down his face, pleading that the child was hard won, and promised he would take good care of me and be a responsible, good husband. On top of that, after the medical staff had finished running a series of tests on me, they held the test results and earnestly advised me, saying that if I went through with the abortion this time, it might affect my ability to get pregnant in the future. It was only then that I accepted the reality, gave up the chance for a promotion and raise, and chose to stay home to rest and prepare for the baby. Lin Shoja, on the other hand, was absolutely thrilled. He applied stretch mark oil for me every day, gave me leg massages, and proactively learned about prenatal care. He used to be someone who never set foot in the kitchen, but for me, he started cooking every day, learning new recipes and preparing all kinds of nutritious meals in different ways. Once, I accidentally burned my hand and got a blister. Even today, Lin Shoja still braved the heavy rain to go to the hospital to get medicine for me. My marriage is blissfully happy, but now, a little whip has shattered my sweet dream. I never expected that after giving up a better job opportunity and enduring the pain of a distorted figure, hair loss, vomiting bile, and even sleepless nights, this would be the outcome I got. Lin Shoza not only cheated, but he also played the field in a big way. All I found was just a little whip, so, in places I can't see, what else is there? When you spot a cockroach in the sunlight, the dark corners are already overflowing with more than enough. Though it was the height of summer, I felt waves of chills, as if trapped in the dead of winter. Even with my teeth clenched tight, I couldn't hold back that nauseating feeling. How disgusting. It's too late to terminate the pregnancy now, and besides, this is an innocent life. I bit my lip so hard it bled, staring intently at Lin Shoza, who was fast asleep. I have always repaid every grievance in kind. From now on I will make him pay for this. 3. In the bedroom, Lin Shoza was fast asleep, sprawled on the bed like a dead pig. His honest, upright face now looked utterly repulsive. I raised my hand and pressed it against his neck. Feel the thin blood vessels rising and falling with each breath he takes. For a split second, I really couldn't help but want to strangle him and be done with it. But now is not the time. How can I let him off so easily without making him suffer at all? I suppressed my hatred and lightly patted his face twice. Can you hear me? Honey, wake up. I need to talk to you about something. Lin Shoza let out a couple of groans but still didn't wake up. Relieved, I took out the phone that was hidden under his pillow and tried to unlock it. I remember his phone password was my birthday, but after we got married, I've always trusted him, so I rarely check his phone anymore. However, after entering it, the system displayed an incorrect password. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. He had changed his phone password long ago, leaving me alone to dwell in the illusion of our love. I could only lift his hand and press his index finger onto the unlock button. I turned on my phone and quickly scrolled through the apps: common WeChat chat logs, QQ messages, phone contacts, as well as easily overlooked Meituan orders, ride-hailing records, and WeChat blacklists, but nothing unusual was found. The latest message is just a pickup notification from Sanya Station. Your package has arrived. Please pick it up at the store using code July 6, 1928. His phone was spotless, like a meticulously cleaned crime scene. I couldn't help but wonder, could this all just be a misunderstanding? But that little whip definitely carried my husband's scent. There are also fingernail scratches on the handle. This is also a unique habit of my husband's. Whenever he holds something, his thumb unconsciously starts rubbing against it. It seems men are far more cunning than I ever imagined. At that moment, a soft clatter came from the balcony. It's the sound of a little cat pawing at a flower pot. Worried that it might wake Lin Shoja, I hurried over and took the kitten down. The flower pot had been tilted half an inch, with some loose soil spilling over the rim. I pulled out a tissue to clean up, but as I got closer, I noticed that this clump of dirt seemed to be moving. The moment I turned on my phone's flashlight, I saw a dense, clustered mass. There are a lot of ants. They huddled together, surrounding a cluster of white ant eggs, their translucent membranes coated with a layer of mucus. It smells fishy and musty, hitting you right in the face. I got goosebumps all over. When did this thing start growing in my flower pot? Ant eggs not only carry a lot of bacteria but may also harbor various parasites, posing significant harm to human health. It's as dirty as it gets. I immediately grabbed the insecticide, intending to get rid of them, but then again, my husband is also quite messy, two dirty things. A perfect match, aren't they? Catching a glimpse of Lin Xiaoxia's briefcase, a new idea struck me. I put on protective gloves, carefully picked up the ant eggs, and smeared them onto the little whip, especially at the joint where the leather strap meets the handle. I dipped it in honey water and smeared a particularly large amount of ant eggs. Ant eggs are extremely tiny, and once coated with honey water, they become translucent and nearly impossible to spot. Then, I took a small tracking device out of the drawer and placed it in the hidden compartment of Lin Xiaoxia's briefcase. Lin Xiaoxia bought the tracker himself when he first got the cat. To prevent the kitten from getting lost, it can also connect to a mobile app, so you can check its location anytime. Who would have thought that the tables have turned, and now it's being used on him? How ridiculous. After finishing all that, I went back to the bedroom, for after all that running around, I'm exhausted and sleepy. Just as he closed his eyes and was about to fall asleep, Lin Xiaoxia started snoring. I was already fuming, and this just added fuel to the fire. How come you get to sleep so soundly? Slap! I raised my hand and struck Lin Xiaoxia across the face, quick and hard. Lin Xiaoxia jolted violently, waking straight up from his dream. A dazed look spread across his face. Ah, what's wrong, honey? I pretended to be scared, my voice trembling slightly. Boo-hoo, I just had a nightmare. I'm so frightened, honey. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. I was just so scared. Sob, sob, sob. Lin Xiaoxia immediately gathered me into his arms, his face full of concern. It's nothing, don't worry. I'm here, don't be afraid. His movements were gentle, as if he truly cared about me, yet this embrace, once so warm, now feels utterly repulsive to me. Barely able to catch my breath, Lin Xiaoxia gently comforted me for a while and tucked me in. It's okay, baby, go to sleep now. Even if you don't want to sleep, the baby in your belly needs to rest. I'm sleepy too, it's been a long day, and I have to work tomorrow. But I don't have to go to work, so I've got all the time in the world to mess with him. I nodded and closed my eyes, pretending I was about to sleep. After a while, Lin Xiao then fell back asleep. I seized the moment, bent my leg, and with all my strength, drove it right between his legs. Ah! Lin Xiaoxia let out a blood-curdling scream. He clutched the spot tightly, his face flushed red, curling up like a shrimp, breathing heavily, drenched in cold sweat from the pain. What's wrong? Again, I clutched my stomach, my voice a little choked. Honey, it hurts so much. The little one just kicked me in the belly. I really couldn't take it anymore. I think I accidentally kicked you just now. I didn't hit you there, did I? Are you okay, honey? Lin Xiaoxia, pale-faced, struggled to speak. I am fine. I patted him on the back and said, that's good. At least I'm your only woman. Don't worry, honey. Even if you're completely useless, I won't abandon you. Lin Xiaoxia let out a dry, hollow laugh. I stared into his eyes and asked, is there another woman out there? A flicker of guilt flashed across Lin Xiaoxia's face, but in the blink of an eye, he had returned to his usual honest and steady demeanor. He pinched my cheek and coaxed softly, how could that be? Of course you're the only woman for me. I'll never change my mind in this lifetime. Honey, we've known each other for so long. Don't you trust me yet? A wave of mockery surged within me. What a jerk. But he's quite the actor, since he loves acting so much. At least I set the stage for him. 5. I kept him up all night. The next morning, Lin Xiaoxia got out of bed yawning widely, with 2 dark circles under his eyes. As he walked into the living room and was about to pick up his briefcase, Lin Xiaoxia suddenly froze, his voice sharply rising. Lin Wei, did you touch my bag? I put on an act, widening my eyes innocently as if I knew nothing. No, I never touch your bag. Don't you know that by now? It must have been the kitten playing. I saw it there this morning. Lin Xiao glanced at the kitten, his tense shoulders relaxing. Realizing he had overreacted, he lowered his voice and apologized to me. Sorry, I was too impatient. Wan, you know I have a lot of confidential documents in my bag that absolutely cannot be leaked. Plus, I've been under a lot of work pressure lately, and I just acted on impulse. I didn't mean to snap at you. Please don't take it to heart. I looked at him with a pitiful expression. Why so aggressive? It's just a briefcase, or is there something in it you don't want me to see? Lin Xiaoxia's expression changed, and he walked over to coax me gently. There, don't overthink it. This weekend I'll take you to the boutique to get the latest bag. I nodded. Just as Lin Xiaoxia was about to leave, I called out to him one last time. Honey. He turned his head. I stepped closer, staring straight into his eyes. When the kitten was playing on your bag just now, it seemed to pull out something really strange, looked like some kind of toy, with just a corner sticking out. I didn't get A clear look before I put it back. What exactly was that? Lin Shouza's body stiffened noticeably. He suddenly looked into my eyes, carefully studied my expression, and only after confirming that there wasn't a trace of doubt in me did he curl his lips into a smile. Really, I didn't notice that. A few interns were playing truth or dare at the office yesterday. If there was anything strange, it was probably just their prank. As expected, men never shed a tear until they see the coffin. Even if you put the evidence right in front of him, he'll just keep making excuses. Actually, this is also the last chance I'm giving Lin Shouza. He missed his chance, so don't blame me for being ruthless. After Lin Shouza left, I opened the phone tracking app and kept an eye on his whereabouts for the entire day. Just as I was about to leave work, Lin Shouza sent me a message. Honey, the hospital just called me to pick up the latest medication. I'll make another trip there and be home a bit later. The phone's location tracking showed that he did arrive at the hospital 20 minutes later. Nothing much should happen today. I put down my phone and got ready to scoop the cat's litter box. Just as I turned around, a thought suddenly flashed through my mind. Something's off. Today is July 6th, and Lin Shou arrived at the hospital at 1922, almost the same as the pickup code in the text message from the Tsanya station. This is not a pickup notification from Tsanya station, it's their secret signal for cheating, so well hidden. I immediately hailed a taxi and rushed to where Lin Shouza was. I'm mentally prepared for whatever Lin Shouza might do, yet this scene that was about to unfold, yet it was even more vulgar beyond measure, leaving an indelible impression on me for life. 6. Do you like being with your big sister? In an office, Lin Shouza was loosely draped in a patient gown. Before him, a woman with heavy makeup, wearing a sexy short nurse uniform, sat with her legs crossed high on a chair, and right beside her hand lay that little whip. Unmistakably, when I caught a clear glimpse of the woman's face through the crack in the door, my eyes flew wide open, and I stopped breathing. She's the OBGYN nurse who took care of me. Suing was a person of order and simplicity, steady and unassuming, always wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses, the white cuffs of her sleeves frayed with fine edges. This was the nurse Lin Shouza personally picked for me during my previous hospital checkup. He said that Suing is highly experienced, has solid technical skills, and is also the elder sister of a fellow townsman, making her a trustworthy person. I thought Lin Shouza genuinely had my best interests at heart. Little did they know, those two had already gotten together. No wonder Lin Shouza insisted on going to the hospital to get the medicine, even if it meant braving the heavy rain and risking a car breakdown. So it wasn't for me, it was for his own thrill, the tenderness. I thought we had just a malicious scam. A chill ran down my spine, my blood ran cold, and goosebumps broke out all over my body. I bit down hard on my tongue, forcing myself to stay calm, pulled out my phone, and recorded the scene. Inside the room, the ambiguous sounds continued to drift out. I like it, I've missed you so much. Lin Shouza caressed the woman's high heels, a look of satisfaction on his face. Suing curled her red lips into a smile. You came yesterday, and you're back for me today, aren't you afraid of getting caught? Lin Shouza let out a chuckle from deep in his throat. How could that happen? She trusts me so much. Just a fool, isn't she? Isn't she being played like a puppet by the two of us? Don't even bring it up. Just thinking about that hag makes me sick. Her hair's falling out so bad she's almost bald, and her belly's covered in stretch marks, all tangled up like a bunch of worms crawling together. It's so disgusting I can't even eat. I'm exhausted from putting on an act at home every single day. Good thing you don't have to go through this, Suing giggled. Good thing I made you poke holes in all the 001s at home, or she never would have gotten pregnant with your kid. Lin Shouza let out a cold snort. At first, she put on airs with me, saying she didn't want kids. How ridiculous. What woman doesn't have children? If she's not having kids, why did I marry her? To keep her around like some ornamental vase. The Lin family legacy cannot die out because of me. And she went on about her career. Humph. What does a woman know about a career? Speaking of which, I have to thank you for forging that document. It got her to keep the baby in her belly. Good thing she's dumb enough to be so easily fooled. You're different, Ying. Only when I'm with you can I truly be myself. You've shown me what it really means to enjoy life, to feel the thrill. My vision went black, as if I'd been struck with a club. The smell of blood mixed with the churning in my stomach rushed straight up to my throat. So, this is how my child came to be. The truth is so filthy. At this very moment I just want to storm in and strangle them both, watching them take their last breaths right in front of me, but I can't let them off that easily. 7. Alright, enough about her. Let's get down to business. Lin Shouza leaned closer to Suing. Suing giggled and gave him a playful shove. don't rush, let's try something different today." As she spoke, she took out a pair of handcuffs and fastened them around Lin Xiaoxia's wrists. Lin Xiaoxia let her do as she pleased, savoring every moment. Then Suing began to show off her skills. Lin Xiaoxia was thoroughly enjoying himself, but gradually, he began to sense that something was off. Breathing becomes rapid and short, struggling to catch one's breath. A tingling, itching sensation all over my body, as if countless ants were burrowing into my skin. "Wait, honey, I feel so itchy. Like ants crawling all over me. It's unbearable, itchy." Suing didn't take it seriously, thinking Lin Xiaoxia was just flirting. "Where does it itch? Could it be here, or here?" She stuffed the bedsheet into Lin Xiaoxia's mouth, her hands moving even more ruthlessly. I watched the scene, fighting the urge to vomit. Take a deep breath. At that moment, I noticed a smoke detector directly above my head. A red light flickered within. A thought struck me, and I pulled a lighter from my bag, lit a pack of paper, and placed it on top. Beep 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 beep. A sharp alarm blared through the entire hallway. Seizing the moment, I ran while pinching my nose and shouted, "Fire! Help! Fire!" The crowd erupted into chaos, surging all at once into the hallway. "Run! Fire! Where's the fire? I've got a fire extinguisher here. It's Nurse Sue's office, over here. Nurse Sue, everyone, follow me." The crowd was menacing. Suing inside the room was terrified, seeing the situation was off. She didn't even let go of Lin Xiaoxia and ran out on her own. She completely ignored Lin Xiaoxia's shouts. Isn't this Nurse Sue? Why is she dressed like that? What, dressing like that at work, wearing those clothes? What was she just doing? She couldn't be." So when a group of people rushed to the door, what they saw was this eyesore of a scene. Lin Xiaoxia lay sprawled across the bed with his clothes disheveled, his face flushed crimson. His body was still covered in various marks. A short distance away, a small, shiny black whip lay scattered on the ground. The bright red succubus pattern on top was extremely eye-catching. It goes without saying what he and Suing were just doing. The crowd exchanged glances, and a murmur rippled through. "Whoa, no way, you can actually do that. My eyes are killing me. I can't take it anymore. I need to make an appointment at your ophthalmology department." "So, Nurse Sue, and this person, I just took a photo. Holy crap, this world is absolutely insane. AHHHHH. The biggest scandal of the year is incoming." My jaw literally dropped to the floor. This is absolutely insane, 100 times more outrageous than any TV drama. Click, click, the sound of cameras firing in rapid succession. Some people even started a live stream. Lin Xiaoxia let out a scream, covered his face tightly, and wished he could crawl into a hole in the ground. But before long, the itch on his body became unbearable. Lin Xiaoxia scratched himself frantically, leaving red welts all over his body, almost digging holes into his skin. "Itchy, so itchy, let me out, help me." Someone nearby snapped out of it. "This guy's a bit off, don't you think? Something's not right. Let's let him out first. We don't want anything to happen to him." "Let it out." "That won't do. I haven't made Lin Xiaoxia suffer enough yet." Having waited outside the door for a long time, I seized the opportunity and rushed in. Honey, are you okay? Who set you up?" I pretended to know nothing and rushed over to Lin Xiaoxia in a fluster. Her face bore just the right amount of concern and panic, as if she truly had no idea what was happening. "How come you have so many injuries on your body, honey? Don't be scared, I'm coming to save you." A glimmer of hope lit up Lin Xiaoxia's eyes as he struggled to curl the corners of his mouth. Honey, I knew you were the best to me. Do you have any water? Quick, pour it on me, hurry, then let me out." "Itchy, I'm so itchy, I can't take it anymore, I'm dying." His face was twisted in agony, with veins bulging at his temples. I nodded vigorously. "Yes, honey. I've got it." I took a bottle of water out of my bag and splashed it all over Lin Xiaoxia. "Ah!" Lin Xiaoxia let out a piercing scream. His mouth was so wide open that you could easily fit an egg in it. I covered my mouth in an exaggerated gesture, my eyes wide with sheer astonishment. "Ah, I'm so sorry, honey. It's all my fault for being so dumb. I forgot this was an electrolyte drink with salt, and it's the high salt kind. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have been so into electrolyte drinks." "Boo-hoo!" Lin Xiaoxia lay on the ground like a dead fish, limp and lifeless, his chest heaving violently as he gasped for air. It's okay, hurry and get the keys to unlock me." Good thing we're right in the hospital." I quickly grabbed the key beside me and, with a serious expression, shoved it into the keyhole once, twice, 3 times, gave a few jabs. "Oh honey, why can't I turn the key? You're holding it upside down." "Oh, okay, got it." They went back and forth for a while. Lin Shoza was foaming at the mouth and rolling his eyes. As if he couldn't hold on any longer. Are we done yet? A crack, the key broke. A broken piece of metal was pitifully stuck in the keyhole. I'm about to cry from anxiety. Honey, I didn't mean to, I was just too anxious. I really couldn't see clearly. It's all my fault for being so nervous. It's all my fault for being so clumsy. Lin Shoza rolled his eyes and fainted dead away. I shook him wildly. Honey, what's wrong? Honey, say something. Honey. In the end, some kind-hearted bystanders called a professional locksmith. As I dragged Lin Shoza out, a crowd of onlookers had gathered around us. They pointed and whispered, their eyes filled with complex and subtle emotions. Oh my, so this guy has a wife. What a bastard, married and still pulling such dirty tricks. His wife is heavily pregnant, looks like she's due any day now, isn't she? What a sin, that cheating scumbag deserves to be struck by lightning. Guys like him should be permanently neutered. Cut it off, cut it off. Cut it off. Nurse Sue is no saint either. How could she get involved with a man whose wife is pregnant? What a scumbag and a slut. One of the enthusiastic gossiping aunties grabbed me. Sis, take my advice. Don't sell yourself short. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you have to put up with everything. She thumped her chest and gave her word. My daughter is a lawyer who specializes in divorce cases. If you ever need help, just come to me. Not a single cent will be charged. I nodded gratefully. Don't worry, I won't let myself get the slightest bit upset. 9. When Lin Shoza was wheeled into the ward, he was barely clinging to life, sitting on the bench in the hallway, listening to the heart-wrenching screams coming from the ward. I couldn't help but curl my lips into a smile. A moment later, the doctor emerged from the operating room and walked over to me with a grave expression. The patient's condition is critical. There are numerous external injuries all over the body, and a large number of parasites and some kind of eggs have entered the patient's body through the bloodstream. The reproductive system, in particular, is in a horrifying state. This is a very rare case. Our only option is surgical removal. Chop, chop, chop. I cut in before the doctor could finish, afraid that even a moment's delay would be too late. That's nothing. Saving my husband's life is what matters most. The doctor paused, his gaze falling on my heavily pregnant belly. He looked thoughtfully for a moment, then a look of realization dawned on him. Oh, okay, just so you know, the patient's infection has already become quite severe, and we can't guarantee we'll be able to eliminate all the parasites. Further medication will be needed. We recommend choosing imported drugs for better results, though the cost will be higher. I slapped my thigh. Can't afford it, really can't afford it. My husband never brings a penny home, and we don't have that much money for imported medicine. I'll just have to make do with what's available for him, give him the cheapest of whatever other treatment tools there are. My husband just loves cheap stuff. The doctor patted me on the shoulder and then walked into the operating room. I haven't been idle during this time either. I paid a hefty sum to hire a reliable private investigator to look into Su Ying. They actually managed to dig up quite a lot of stuff. Su Ying's college entrance exam scores were a complete mess, so she had to go abroad to a diploma mill and scrape by with a degree. Her thesis is also suspected of academic misconduct. It was exposed online by a few anonymous Weibo accounts before, but it didn't gain any traction. His character is questionable, and his work performance is even worse. Negligent during duty, impatient with patients, and nearly made a medical error. Disregards life itself, lacking even the most basic professional ethics. I saved all this evidence and posted it online. Lin Shoza's affair with Su Ying has been all over the internet, topping the trending list every day. The two became top influencers in the explosive content scene, facing a barrage of criticism and abuse from netizens. Even some cringe-worthy images have been turned into memes and widely shared. Both of them were fired from their jobs and became unemployed. I don't mind, let the fire burn even brighter. Also, I went for a full body checkup. The men at home are so messy, you just can't guard against it. Thankfully, the test results showed that both my child and I are healthy. 10. Get out, all of you, get out, leave me alone, you're all bastards, I'll curse every single one I see. Lin Shoza has been furious ever since he woke up. The ward was full of the things he had smashed, a complete mess with not even a spot to set foot. Even the nurses in charge of changing dressings can't be bothered to come here, just to avoid bad luck. This also caused Lin Shoza's wound to heal very slowly, leaving him in a state barely clinging to life. When I saw him, I barely recognized him. The person lay in the hospital bed, eyes bulging, hair withered, and their body covered in festering sores. How could this man still be the same impeccably dressed husband I once knew? I walked up to him with a smile on my face. Honey, why are you so angry? Lin Shoza glared at me with eyes wide with fury. Did you do this? You did it on purpose, didn't you? Huh? What did I do? I asked, looking completely innocent. Honey, I should be the one asking you. What have you been doing behind my back? Lin Xiao struggled to get out of bed, trying to grab me by the throat. Stop pretending. I won't fall for it anymore. I've already called the police, and they're going to investigate you. You must have planted something unclean on me. I dug at my ear without even glancing up from what I was doing. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Where's that barking coming from? Sounds like a neutered mutt. You, Lin Xiaozha pointed at me, his eyes wide with rage, as if he wanted to pounce and devour me, but there was a gash on his lower body, and the more he struggled, the more painful it became. I stopped wasting words on him and threw the divorce papers in his face. Lin Xiaozha, you make me sick. I've wasted all these years knowing you. I was completely blind about you. From now on, we're getting a divorce, all the property goes to me. And from this moment on, we have nothing to do with each other, all the property goes to you. Lin Xiaozha glared at me fiercely, grinding his teeth. You wish. Now the company has fired me. I'm homeless, and I will never divorce you. Even if I have to drag you down, I'll make sure you suffer too. So what if I cheated and looked for some excitement outside? Which man doesn't do that? Do you have to make such a big deal out of it? Don't worry, she's just a motel, but you're my home. Besides, even if you don't think about yourself, you should at least think about the child. Can you bear to let him be born without a father? I stared coldly at the man before me. How dare he even mention the child? The sight of someone throwing a tantrum is utterly disgusting at this moment. The ugliness of human nature is laid bare in all its raw, unvarnished detail. I let out a snort of laughter. You think you're fit to be the father of my child, a man with nothing between his legs? I'd be embarrassed to even take you out in public. The lawyer has already handed over the evidence to me. You embezzled company funds to keep a mistress, so, divorce or prison, you pick one yourself. Hearing me say this, Lin Xiaozha panicked, his face turning purple as he struggled to choke out just my name, Lin Wei. He looked at me with reluctance, his resolve already beginning to waver. Watching Lin Xiaozha's disheveled state, I laughed cheerfully and delivered the final blow. Oh, and there's one more thing I forgot to tell you. The baby I'm carrying isn't actually yours. 11. Impossible, Lin Xiaozha screamed as if struck by lightning. With a cold sneer, I slapped a photo of me with another man in his face. How could it be impossible? Lin Xiaozha's face instantly drained of all color, as if struck by lightning, his hand holding the photo trembling uncontrollably. You, so you're also, how could you do this to me, you bitch? I crossed my arms and looked down at him, feeling a surge of satisfaction in my heart. It's just giving them a taste of their own medicine. While you were having a good time with that woman, did you ever think of me? Actually, I never betrayed Lin Xiaozha. The photo was fake too. I said that on purpose. Wasn't he scheming to get me pregnant, using my womb to carry on the Lin family line? Then I'll destroy what he cares about most, castrate him mentally. Lin Xiaozha let out a blood-curdling scream, wailing bitterly with tears and snot streaming down his face. Take a look. He looks just like a stray dog. But who can be blamed? Lin Xiaozha brought such a miserable end upon himself. He has no one to blame but his own actions. A man who doesn't respect himself is like rotten cabbage. The only possible ending is to rot and stink. This tug-of-war went on for a long time, but by now, Lin Xiaozha had lost everything. He had no reason not to get a divorce, and in the end, he signed the divorce agreement. What's more, he fears prison more than divorce. Such shrewd and self-serving individuals are masters at weighing pros and cons and know exactly what matters most. The moment I got the divorce papers, I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders, and a radiant smile spread across my face. Stepping out of the ward, the weather outside had cleared up. The clouds on the horizon are glowing brightly in the sun. Once I get through this, nothing will stand in my way again. 12. The next time I heard news of Lin Xiaozha was 5 years later. I took my daughter to the park to fly a kite. While resting on a bench, I heard a sharp burst of abusive shouting. Not far away, a man was punching and kicking a woman. No money? Then go out and sell yourself. If you don't, how am I supposed to eat and spend, and what am I supposed to use for mahjong? But you're old, ugly, and past your prime, probably won't fetch much even if you sell yourself once. Let me tell you, you'll keep going out to sell until you scrape together the amount I want, or else I'll beat you to death. You ruined me, so you have to take care of me for the rest of my life. The woman was filthy, her tangled hair matted, curled up in a ball on the ground. A chunk of hair was pulled out, leaving a bald patch, and the pain made him grimace. The man wasn't as disheveled as she was, but he was still scruffy and not much better off. Clearly from the lower rungs of society a crowd had gathered around them to watch the excitement. I glanced at the man and woman and thought they looked familiar. I watched for quite a while, only then did I recognize them as Lin Shoza and Su Ying. My daughter tugged at my sleeve, blinking her round bright eyes. Mom, what are they doing? Why are they fighting? I patted her head. There, those are bad people, let's not look over there. Then she took her daughter by the hand and walked away. Just then, a commotion erupted behind me. Murder, call the police. I quickly covered my daughter's eyes and turned to look behind me. The woman who had been beaten just moments ago finally snapped. She suddenly lashed out, driving a knife into the man again and again in a frenzy. Lin Shoza, go to hell, I'll kill you. You dare treat me like this? I've had it with you. Time to send you straight to hell. Lin Shoza saw me amidst his struggle in a pool of blood. His eyes flickered with a glimmer of light. He struggled to raise his hand toward me and whispered, "Honey." I turned my head away directly. She didn't even spare him a glance. Lin Shoza was covered in blood, twitched a few times, and then went still. Later, Su Ying was arrested for intentional homicide. Due to the severity of the case, she was sentenced to life imprisonment. Evil will be punished by heaven in its own time, and none of this has anything to do with me anymore. My future is boundless. I will raise my daughter well and live a happy life with her. Story 2. When Shen Anren showed up at the door with a child, I found out that Su Linchuan had a child with her outside. Despite my body that had just undergone an abortion, he was determined to fulfill his duty as a father. You just had an abortion, and you haven't been able to give birth for all these years. I have to take care of this child. But he forgot that it was he himself who cut off my help-seeking call when I had the abortion. That night, I received a message from Shen Anren. The family of 3 is all together. Happiness is just that simple. It's a pity that you, a hen that can't lay eggs, can't experience it. I calmly replied to her, I wish you all the best. Then I dialed the number of my childhood friend who was a lawyer. Help me draw up a divorce agreement. Why is it so sudden? You've finally come to your senses. Let me tell you, you should have divorced him a long time ago, but it's not too late now. If he really loved you, how could he have left you at the wedding ceremony? What are your plans for the next step? Consider. His words were like a thin needle pricking the most hidden pain in my heart. On our wedding day, Su Linchuan, who had already adjusted his vacation, suddenly said that he had an emergency ambulance call and left me alone without looking back. But on that day, there was no ambulance reception in their hospital. I took a deep breath and interrupted the chattering at the other end. How long will it take? 3 days. Coincidentally, 3 days later, it was our 7th wedding anniversary. It was also the day when Su Linchuan promised to make up for our wedding. Now it seems that it's not necessary anymore. Just as I hung up the phone, Su Linchuan came back. Nan, what will take? How long? He reeked of alcohol, and his coat was nowhere to be found. There was cake all over his body, mixed with a strong perfume smell. Draw up a divorce agreement. Before I could say it, I was interrupted by Su Linchuan's complaints. Little Jing is really something. He's been so spoiled that he got cake everywhere. As he spoke, he had a doting look on his face, and then he came over and hugged me. The moment he got close, the strong perfume smell rushed into my nostrils as if competing with each other, making me cough continuously. This smell was the same as the one I lost a few days ago. By chance, I smelled this perfume once because I asked about it. Su Linchuan visited all the perfume stores. Based on my vague description, he brought back a bunch of bottles and jars. At that time, I excitedly hugged his neck and was so touched that I cried in his arms. Su Linchuan, you love me so much. After the perfume was lost, I blamed myself for a long time. For several sleepless days and nights, I kept thinking about where I had lost it. Now I finally know that it wasn't lost, but stolen. Knowing where it went, the big stone in my heart dropped. The smell that I used to like so much didn't seem that special now. Seeing me coughing, Su Linchuan looked worried and frowned as he patted my back gently. Nan, are you not feeling well? I'll take you to the hospital. Just as he was about to pick me up, he finally noticed my covered nose and mouth. Su Linchuan's worry was replaced by embarrassment, and he got up and took off his clothes. I saw that you weren't using the perfume, so when Ran wanted it, I gave it to her. If you don't like it, I'll just tell her not to wear it anymore. Maybe he had long forgotten what this perfume represented, so he said he would tell Shen Anren not to wear it, instead of saying he would stay away from her. How close must they have been for him to get such a strong smell on him? I suppressed the sourness in my heart. Anyway, I was going to get a divorce soon, and what they did had nothing to do with me. No, I like it very much. Su Linchuan seemed a bit surprised by my calmness. He pulled me into his arms and kissed my forehead. I knew it, you're the best. From the age of 18 to 25, Su Linchuan pursued me for 7 years. During that time, he carefully planned countless surprises for me. He, who never drank alcohol, even drank until his stomach bled to block the wine for me on his 101st confession. Su Linchuan set off fireworks all over the city for me. My name flashed on all the tall buildings that night. The whole city lit up just for me. The snowflakes were falling all over the sky, and they landed on our heads, making our hair turn white. As someone from the south, I saw the snow scene for the first time, and I will never forget it for the rest of my life. The moment I agreed, he shed tears amidst the cheers and applause of the crowd. Nan Nan, thank you for agreeing to be with me. I will never let you down in this life. He carefully held my face in his hands and looked at me again and again as if I were a treasure. When he spoke, his voice trembled with caution. Nan Nan, may I kiss you? I wiped away his tears and lowered my head shyly. Silly, of course you can. Su Linchuan piously kissed the snow that wouldn't melt on my eyelashes. The warm and moist touch stayed in my memory for a long time. At that time, I thought he would be my support for the rest of my life, even though I heard that there was always a pursuer by his side, even though he left me at the wedding ceremony. It wasn't until a few days ago when Shen Anren showed up at the door with the child that I realized that Su Linchuan left me just to accompany her during childbirth. Looking at her face that was 7 or 8 points similar to mine, I couldn't help but find it ridiculous. He didn't want me, a living person, but went to accompany this plastic surgery imposter. Shen Anren stood in front of me, beaming with joy. Achuan is really something. On your wedding day, as soon as I called, he left you and came to accompany me. By the way, the soup you made is really delicious. When will you make some more for me and little Jing? That day, considering his hard work, after dealing with the wedding guests alone, I immediately made soup and brought it to the hospital. As someone who had never cooked before, I almost blew up the kitchen, all just to give him a special gift for our wedding night. When he saw me, a trace of panic flashed in Su Linchuan's eyes. At that time, I just thought he felt sorry for my hands full of blood blisters. Now that I know the truth, it doesn't seem to matter anymore. The soup I made with my own hands was fed spoon by Su Linchuan to another woman. The vows of the past have vanished with the wind, and the love that I thought was indestructible has also dissipated. I had never doubted Su Linchuan's love for me, but that time, the idea of getting a divorce came to my mind. I couldn't fall asleep in the middle of the night. I got up alone to pack my things and prepare to leave. There were only 3 days left. I had a lot of things to pack, but I didn't plan to take them with me. Almost all of them were couple items. Su Linchuan always liked these things. He said they were proof of my love for him. They were also his declaration of sovereignty. I didn't like them at first, but he coaxed me so much that I unconsciously felt sweet in my heart and gradually accepted all the couple items into my life. But in the end, I got used to them, yet he left me first. Maybe from the very beginning, I ignored the fact that if he really loved me so much, how could he have hidden the child he had raised for so many years from me? I packed all the couple items that belonged to me and sealed them in boxes. I planned to go out and throw them away early the next morning. I sat alone in the living room until dawn, and only then did I manage to finish packing the things. When I turned to the photo album, my hand loosened slightly, and the photos inside fell out one after another. From when I was 18 years old to this year when I'm 32 years old, the content of the photos changed from simply recording me at the beginning to the group photos of the two of us later. The love in those records seemed to gush out through the camera lens, and the love filled his eyes as he looked at me in the group photos. Every frame was proof of Su Linchuan's love for me. I suddenly realized that there was someone who loved me for a long time in the past, but it was just in the past. From the age of 25 to 32, I loved him for 7 years. I lit the lighter, and the raging fire burned up the memories of 14 years, and also took away my love that had lasted for 7 years. From then on, Su Linchuan and I owed each other nothing, and there would be no more connection between us. I don't know when Su Linchuan appeared behind me. He rushed up in one stride, waved his hand and threw me out. He reached into the fire with his bare hand and snatched out 2 photos that were only left with the corners after being burned. Even so, Su Linchuan still didn't care about his hands that were already covered with blood blisters from the burn. He gently extinguished the sparks on the photos with pity. Jiang Nan, what are you doing? After a while, he regained his usual tenderness and softly comforted me, more like comforting himself. Forget it, we can take new photos if the old ones are gone. Next time, We'll take a family photo with little Jing. You're not allowed to burn them again. I don't know when it started, but there were proofs of Su Jing's existence everywhere in our life. The sofa was piled with new toys that Su Linchuan bought for him. The bedroom was full of photos of Su Linchuan and him. Even our conversations couldn't go 3 sentences without mentioning Su Jing. Su Linchuan carefully put the photos into his arms. When he looked up and saw the blood on my head, he panicked. Nan Nan, I'm sorry, does it hurt? I'll take you to the hospital. Su Linchuan picked me up in his arms. Before we could leave the house, the exclusive ringtone of Shen Amran on his phone rang. I don't know if it was out of panic or on purpose, but he pressed the answer button. Chuan, what should I do? Little Jing suddenly started having a nosebleed. He's crying and shouting for his dad, and I can't stop the bleeding no matter what. Come quickly and take him to the hospital. Even though the speakerphone wasn't turned on, the crying and shouting still reached my ears precisely. Su Linchuan looked torn. He looked at the phone and then at me. But his coat was already on. I'll take you first. In the past, I would have cried and hid in his arms, telling him that my head hurt so much, but now, I just calmly interrupted him. You go, I can manage on my own. At that moment, I saw his shoulders relax, and he let out a long sigh of relief. I'm sorry, Nan Nan, I'll come back to you soon. After saying that, he gave me a hasty kiss on the corner of my mouth and then went out. I couldn't avoid it. After he left, I wiped the corner of my mouth with my sleeve again and again until it bled. Finally, I took off my clothes and threw them into the trash can. I simply treated the wound on my forehead and then continued to pack my luggage. Without my things, the house was more than half empty. Su Linchuan said that he would be back soon. On the first day, he broke his promise and only sent a text message. Nan Nan, don't wait for me, go to bed early. But in the early morning, Shen Amran asked me, Chuan is so fierce, you must not be able to take it, right? Otherwise, why does he come to me almost every night after you fall asleep? She also attached a video. She was wearing a bunny-shaped sexy outfit, with overlapping hickeys and finger marks all over her body. Su Linchuan's Adam's apple rolled, and he leaned in and kissed her. Unlike when he was with me, his restraint was replaced by surging lust, and I had seen this outfit more than once at home. I turned off my phone, took back all the gifts I gave him, and also threw away all the things he gave me. On the second day, he broke his promise again, and the chat box didn't light up again. Shen Amran's message came earlier. I have both the wedding dress and him. This time it was a picture. She was wearing a white wedding dress, and Su Linchuan stood behind her, burying his head in her neck without caring about anyone else. There was an overwhelming tenderness and love in his eyes. This immediately brought me back to a snowy night. He also looked at me so obsessively when I put on the wedding dress. The moment our eyebrows touched, I heard him say, Nan Nan, we will have many, many futures. I smiled and pushed him away, turning around with a blushing face. Then it's a deal. If you dare to betray me, I'll leave you. Now his eyes were filled with another woman, and he even gave the wedding dress that I designed with my own hands to her. Sliding my phone, I erased all the records of me and Su Linchuan being together. On the third day, Su Linchuan came back, but I was about to leave when he pushed the door open. I had just signed the electronic divorce agreement that was sent to me. Seeing the empty room, he froze at the door. Why did you clean it up so thoroughly? It was dirty, so I threw it away. Su Linchuan frowned, and his smile looked uglier than a cry. Threw it away. Well, we can buy new ones. Nan Nan, can we postpone our wedding for a few days? I know this might be. He stood in front of me, stuttering for a long time. I smiled and interrupted him. Sure. He knew it was excessive, yet he still had to say it. In that case, not to mention postponing it for a few days, it could be postponed for a whole lifetime. Really, Sister Nan Nan is so generous. She not only allowed me to have a child with a Chuan, but also agreed to let a Chuan marry me once before the wedding. In our hometown, women who haven't had children can be bridesmaids. You must come then. Shen Amran squeezed into the door wearing Su Linchuan's shirt and affectionately took my arm. What on earth are you trying to do? I warned you not to bother Nan Nan again. Su Linchuan grabbed Shen Amran and pressed her against the wall. Growling, I was dragged down to the ground along with Shen Amran. I watched as she coquettishly wrapped her arms around Su Linchuan's neck and then kissed him deeply. The sound of their kiss echoed in the empty room, and Su Linchuan's anger faded away. When the kiss ended, I had already gotten up from the ground. Su Linchuan pushed away the beauty in his arms and reached out to pull me. Nan Nan, Shen Amran stubbornly pounced on him and whispered 2 sentences in his ear. Then Su Linchuan's hand that was halfway in the air dropped. When he opened his mouth again, he asked me, Nan Nan, can you wait for me? I will give you an explanation, wait for me to come back, and I'll take you to buy new furniture, then I'll make up a wedding for you. I promise it will be grander than the previous one. Okay, I replied softly, and then I watched as Su Linchuan took Shen Anren's hand and left without looking back. I once told him, Su Linchuan, don't make me wait for you, I can't afford to wait, so, I won't love him anymore. From now on, I will completely disappear from his life. Before turning off my phone, I sent him the signed divorce agreement along with it. I also sent him more than 100 chat records between Shen Anren and me, which were on her initiative. The plane took off, taking me back to my hometown that I had been away from for 7 years. As soon as I turned on my phone, text messages popped up one after another, causing the phone to freeze for a moment. Among them, there were text message reminders for missed calls, as well as messages from Su Linchuan one by one. I didn't have time to read the content, I only remembered that each message contained the word sorry since I don't want him anymore. What's the use of his apology now? I took out the phone card, broke it forcefully, and threw it into the trash can. The winter in the south is exceptionally warm, there is no snow scene that I love, but at this moment, it makes me feel extremely comfortable. So is the life without Su Linchuan. I no longer have to consider his preferences, nor do I have to match his rhythm of life. He couldn't drink alcohol. In the 7 years of our marriage, I never touched a single drop of alcohol. When he worked the night shift, I would sit alone by the bedside until dawn every night waiting for him to come back, and then snuggle in his arms for a moment. But when he came back reeking of alcohol, I knew it was time for us to end. My mother cooked a large table of dishes. When she brought them to the table, she looked around. Where's Xiao Chuan? Didn't he come back with you this time? Your father said his leg has been hurting lately and wanted him to take a look. You can see a doctor at the hospital. He's not the only doctor. I'll take Dad to see a doctor tomorrow. I picked up a piece of meat and put it in my mouth, casually interrupting her searching figure. Okay, doctors are always busy. Since you feel sorry for him, I won't say anything more. My mother sat down beside me with an expression of I know everything. I didn't say anything. My parents were extremely satisfied with Su Linchuan. Since I came back, almost every sentence has been about Su Linchuan, as if Su Linchuan were their biological son. By the way, when are you going to have a child? You're both in your 30s, do you really want to? Never. In the past, when she talked about having a child, Su Linchuan would always stand beside me and use his busy work as an excuse to fend off her words for me. I always thought he didn't want a child. When I saw Su Jing, I realized how much he liked children. But now, it won't happen anymore. We got a divorce. I put down the chopsticks in my hand, ignoring my parents' shocked expressions and their further questions. I turned around and went into the room. Before dawn the next day, I boarded a plane to Guicheng. Su Linchuan has always been obedient to me in everything, but only when it came to volunteering for teaching in rural areas. He would always flatly refuse me every time. Now I want to hide in a place where no one can find me, and I also want to fulfill the value of my life. The day I first saw Shen Anren, I submitted an application for volunteer teaching. Now it has just been approved. The sky here is very blue, and the water is very clear. I seem to be reborn here. The innocent smiling faces of the children make me feel a vitality that I have never felt before. It's a clean and vigorous power. It took me half a year to get used to the life here. When I came to my senses, I found that I couldn't remember what Su Linchuan looked like clearly. Just as I walked out of the classroom after class, I saw a familiar face, and I didn't react for a moment. Nan, is it really you? Why did you come all the way here? I finally found you. His voice was trembling. He stood in front of me and looked at me again and again, as if confirming repeatedly. Nan, listen to my explanation. It was because Xiao Jing was mocked by his classmates for not having a father that I decided to have a wedding with Shen Anren. No, it wasn't a wedding. Only Xiao Jing's classmates were invited. I walked past him expressionlessly. Whether it's true or not has nothing to do with me. Sign the divorce agreement. I don't want you anymore. No, I won't sign it. Su Linchuan hurriedly grabbed my arm and apologized again and again. I'm sorry, Nan, I know I was wrong, just this once, please forgive me. Okay, I promise I'll treat you well in the future. Shen Anren has been pestering me all the time and even had plastic surgery to look like you. I mistook her for you, and that's how Xiao Jing was born. If you don't like it, I'll send Xiao Jing away, and I won't have any more contact with Shen Anren. Come back with me. Okay. On the day of my abortion, Su Linchuan left me alone. At that time, I was just like this, grabbing his hand like a madman and crying, asking him if he could stay, but he told me coldly, you just had an abortion, and you haven't been able to give birth for all these years. I have to take care of this child. Now the situation has reversed, but my heart doesn't stir the slightest bit." Su Lingquan's tone was excited, attracting the attention of the passing teachers and students. Feeling their inquiring gazes, I shook off his hand and refused him. Coldly, "No, Su Lingquan, is it really just this once? We've been married for 7 years, and Su Jing is 7 years old. All this time, I've been the third party. You knew I didn't like Shin Anren, and you knew I wouldn't like it if you hid the fact that you had a child with someone else from me, but you still did it, and you did it without any scruples. I never doubted your sincerity towards me in the past, but if this is the love you keep talking about, then I was blind. Stop doing despicable things in the name of love." After I finished speaking, Su Lingquan was silent for a long time. After a while, his voice trembled slightly, and the panic in his eyes could no longer be hidden. "No, you're not the third party, Nan Nan. Come back with me. If you like it here and don't want to go back, that's okay too. We can have a wedding here and then have a lovely child." Su Lingquan. I didn't want to listen to his meaningless vision of the future and interrupted him impatiently, but Su Lingquan seemed not to hear me. He hugged me in his arms and kept talking to himself. "Su Lingquan, you can have the wedding with Shin Anren. I really don't need it. Do you hear me?" I almost shouted, and I bit his arm hard. The taste of rust spread in my mouth. No matter how much I stepped on him or kicked him, he still refused to let go until I said, "Su Lingquan, I once loved you. It was you who killed this love with your own hands. Let me go. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it, so there's no future for us." Su Lingquan. My tone was firm without the slightest hesitation. Su Lingquan was like a deflated balloon and slowly let go of me. The gentle breeze caressed my hair, taking me back to the time when he confessed to me. His eyes were shining brightly as he said he would treat me well for a lifetime. Now the light in his eyes has disappeared, leaving only a deathly stillness. Su Lingquan didn't come to find me again, but every day for the next 6 months, all kinds of things would appear outside my door, and I always felt that someone was watching me not far away. At first, it was steaming hot breakfast, and each portion would come with a handwritten letter of apology. Then there were cans of perfume and cosmetics, or some precious jewelry. No matter how rare and valuable these treasures were, I left them untouched. This continued until a snowy night. The sky above Guiqing was once again as bright as day, and my name was arranged in the center of each bursting firework. Su Lingquan appeared in front of me. He seemed to have returned to his youth, using all his means and spending a lot of money to pursue me, but he didn't know that I loved him only because he loved me without reservation, only because of his sincerity and tenderness. Now all these are gone, and no matter how much he does, I won't love him anymore. I ignored his presence and got under Duan Shiai's umbrella. Su Lingquan looked incredibly shocked, and his face changed like a palette. He had a gloomy face and looked decadent. He asked me sharply, "Nan Nan, is it because of him that you won't agree to me? Have you forgotten that he didn't come when you called him on our wedding day? Why are you so cheap as to go to him?" At this moment, Su Lingquan no longer had his usual gentle and elegant manner. He pointed at Duan Shiai's. His breathing became more and more rapid, and he spoke without restraint. "Su Lingquan, what does this have to do with you? He didn't come. But did you come?" I was so angry at his shamelessness that I laughed. I slapped him backhand. "I thought I made it very clear last time. We have no relationship anymore, and don't come to find me in the future." The corners of Su Lingquan's eyes were red. He stared at me, hesitating to speak. After a long time, he said, "You're doing this to make me angry, right? We're not divorced yet. I haven't signed the divorce agreement. I love you. I really love you. I miss you so much. Come back, Nan Nan. Do you need me to help you sue for divorce?" Duan Shiai's teasing voice came from above my head, interrupting Su Lingquan's affectionate confession. Just like the day Shin Anren came to my door, he suddenly called me after disappearing for 7 years and asked me if I needed a divorce. What the hell does this have to do with you? The veins on Su Lingquan's forehead bulged, and he roared furiously, waving his fist to hit Duan Shiai's. Duan Shiai's gently sidestepped to avoid the punch, and with a casual stretch of his long leg, he kicked Su Lingquan flying. "What do you see in him?" He gave Su Lingquan the middle finger, and his tone was full of mockery. Looking at Su Lingquan, who was lying face down on the ground, I couldn't help but laugh. "Of course, I need it." I turned around and left without looking back under Duan Shiai's umbrella. After leaving Su Lingquan, I seemed to have been reborn and pulled myself out of the indulgence in love. Since he refused to sign the divorce agreement for a long time, I entrusted Duan Shiai's to help me sue for divorce. The divorce didn't go smoothly, but no matter what, I was determined to see it through. The day I got the divorce certificate, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief in my heart. At that time, Su Linchuan had a beard and stood in front of me. He had long lost his former high spirits and looked 10 years older. He asked me one last question. Is there really no possibility for us anymore? I smiled faintly and nodded, my tone firm and resolute. No, just when I thought everything was coming to an end. A crazy figure rushed out from the side of the road and pounced on me. It's all because of you. Achuan doesn't want me anymore. Why can't you tolerate me? Achuan's marriage certificate has your name on it. Isn't that enough? I was the one who came first. I've already had plastic surgery to look like you. I'm the one who gave him a lovely son. What's wrong with me that I'm not as good as you? She roared hysterically, and her tears fell one by one on the back of my hand, like a fierce ghost. Coming out of hell to claim my life, I was pushed and shoved backward by her, and her powerful strength made it difficult for me to break free. When my body was about to hit the wall, the expected pain didn't come. Instead, I fell into a warm embrace. At the same time, Shen Anren flew out in front of me. Her howl stopped abruptly. When I looked up again, Duan Shiai's big hand covered my ear. I don't understand. Why did Shen Anren go to the extent of bankrupting herself to have plastic surgery to look like me and please Su Linchuan? I also don't understand why Su Linchuan remained indifferent when faced with someone who loved him wholeheartedly, and even hurt her in the most clumsy way. But it has nothing to do with me anymore. I walked up to Shen Anren and bent down to look at her. Shen Anren's face was covered in blood, and her facial features were so distorted that she looked both pitiful and terrifying. I didn't feel any sense of satisfaction in my heart. I just handed her a piece of paper. Love yourself well. Shen Anren gave a cold snort and didn't take it. I'm sorry, Nan Nan, I didn't know she would come. I've already had nothing to do with her. Are you in pain? I'll make her apologize to you. Su Linchuan, I'm the mother of your child and your lover for 9 years. Shen Anren gritted her teeth and roared at Su Linchuan. Every word was filled with blood, resentment, and hatred, and she was on the verge of collapse. Perhaps she still couldn't believe why the man she had loved for more than 10 years and had sacrificed everything for would show no mercy and make her apologize to her enemy. But Su Linchuan only instantly grabbed her neck to stop her from speaking further. He reached out to pull me, but I dodged away. I looked into his eyes and said word by word, take her away and don't bother me anymore. Su Linchuan avoided my gaze and closed his eyes in despair. Just because I asked about it, Su Linchuan visited all the perfume stores. Based on my vague description, he brought back a bunch of bottles and jars, and I also devoted myself fully to my life. I have been volunteering to teach in the mountainous areas of Guiqing year after year. I have sent off batch after batch of children. They have smiling faces like flowers and affectionately call me Mom Jiang. Everything is peaceful and harmonious, just as I dreamed. Suddenly, on a winter night, it snowed heavier than I had ever seen before. With a thud, my phone slipped out of my hand. When I picked it up again, it had already opened a social news article. Although the names in the article had been changed, I could still easily recognize that it was about Su Linchuan. From this news article, I learned that Su Linchuan personally disfigured Shen Anren's face in front of his son, Su Jing. He was sentenced for this crime. When he was detained, he was wearing a white wedding dress and had perfume on. I recognized it at a glance. That wedding dress was the one I designed back then but hadn't had the chance to wear. Sometimes he would kneel down on one knee. Nan Nan, will you marry me? Sometimes he would stand upright. Of course I will. Su Linchuan, you love me so much. He stood in front of the camera, in front of the world. He proposed to me over and over again, and then he answered the proposal on my behalf over and over again. Immersed in his own world, he held one wedding after another. Looking at his ridiculous appearance, I felt nothing in my heart. I just regarded it as an ordinary piece of social news and laughed it off. Duan Shiais held an umbrella to shield me from the falling snow. I don't like snow that much anymore now. I've gradually come to understand that what I've never really liked was the snow. It was that snowy night when he confessed his love. What are your next plans? Consider me, will you? He asked me with a light smile. I can't remember how many times he has asked this. The answer remains the same. I'm very happy being alone.